He ripped his head off like he was opening a bottle of soda.
It's here. I've been waiting for so long. I know my face is too camera. WrestleMania. Oh my God. I have been waiting a full ass year for this. You do not understand the hype that I have for this, Mr. Fish, Mr. Parrotfish. I don't think you understand. Are you ready? Are you ready for WrestleMania, Mr. Parrotfish? Are you ready?
I've legitimately never cared about anything less.
I really am so happy you said that. Who's your favorite main event? CM Punk versus Roman Reigns or Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes?
My eyeballs and Daredevil is my favorite main event.
What's your big takeaway from the Pat McAfee situation?
My main takeaway is CinemaCon happened this
Yes,
week. That's my main takeaway.
which is the real cold open. I'm just super excited about WrestleMania. I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, it's happening as we record because unfortunately someone we're not going to get into that. But yeah, WrestleMania is happening now. Carson's very excited about it. But the big news that happened is CinemaCon, which one thing I just want to say, like, I would love to get invited to CinemaCon one day.
I think it'd be great.
Because CinemaCon's one of those things that, like, it's not for normal people. Like, peasants can't go to CinemaCon.
Right,
CinemaCon
it's like an invite-only type thing.
It's like you have to be an influencer or a news outlet or something like that. So
right,
and the peasants get the scraps essentially, which is fine. I get it. That's the point of the event is like a media showcase event. One of the things that I'm torn about though, and I just want to ask you about this because one of the big things with CinemaCon is that they release trailers and footage. Like I think I heard that they saw like the first like 15 minutes of the Mandalorian movie in front of the Disney like. I don't want to do that. That's my whole thing with, like, the CinemaCon thing. It's like, it sounds so cool to see all these trailers and get all the news, but, like, I don't want to watch 15 minutes of a movie just to wait 2 months to see the movie.
So here's the thing with CinemaCon. I think when you get to that level, you kind of understand it. And when it comes to trailers too, I'm okay watching trailers. I just don't want to watch trailer 2s or trailer 3s or final trailers, purely just because they give away too much about the movie. Now, if there's a trailer out there and somebody tells me it doesn't actually give anything away, it's just a bit more intrigue, okay, I'll watch it. I actually think a really good, with the exception of the final trailer, a really good example of this was Deadpool and Wolverine. The first teaser trailer that dropped at the Super Bowl back in 2024, the first teaser trailer drop of that was just Deadpool. It gave you nothing about the plot. It showed you a little bit about the TVA. And it was basically just like a reintroduction of like, oh, this is kind of cool, whatever. You never even saw Hugh Jackman in the entire first trailer. Not once. The second trailer was more Wolverine-centric. It dropped later in March. And it was all about, I'm the Wolverine. I'm like not the best Wolverine or whatever. It was great. The final trailer was different because it did give intrigue. Like it gave like a more somber approach, a more dark approach, which was great. But then they had to reveal X-23 in the trailer, which kind of gives away a big spoiler. Like, okay, well, what the frick are we doing? Why say that? You already know this is the first Deadpool movie in like 8 years. You're going to get people in seats. You're going to get butts in seats. Why reveal that? That's a bit too much. So it's not the fact that I can't sit through a first trailer. Like the first Supergirl trailer is fine. I can sit through maybe in a second one, because honestly, that first Supergirl trailer didn't really give away all that much. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and the second one didn't give a, like, I've seen the second one now to my own chagrin, because, like, that's the other thing, is, like, the movie theaters, I actually watched the Supergirl trailer today when I went to go see the first 2 episodes of Stranger Things Tales of 85. They showed it in front of the episodes, and it's like, it doesn't give us that much more. It just gives you the main plot hook of Crypto, which admittedly I wish I didn't know, but also like I know the story of Supergirl, Women of Tomorrow, so it's not like that's one I care a little bit less about, I guess. The big thing is they are making major changes like the introduction of Lobo, but
well, and okay, so furthering that down the line, I really want to actually talk about this one first, because this is honestly probably the most important to us as far as what happened at CinemaCon. And we don't have to harken on it for too long, because I don't know what's in the trailer all that much. I read like a few things here and there. I tried to avoid it, but it's really hard to when the internet just says it like point blank.
Yeah,
what's in it?
Yeah,
I'm assuming you saw the at least part of it.
The Doomsday. I've
Right.
unfortunately, I'm in a few discords with people that I was chatting with it about it, and it was impossible to avoid. So I know I haven't sat down and read the entire description, but I have heard basically everything that it had. I'm personally not that upset about it though, because it was very clearly just a trailer, and it
Yes.
probably won't be too dissimilar from the trailer that we are going to get
It
when
won't.
it
Well, and
inevitably
here's
releases.
the first thought I wanted to say, especially because this is the first thing we're talking about. This is the biggest thing we're probably talking about of all the things that dropped. Here's what I want to say. A few months ago, they dropped 4 individual trailers following the Avatar Fire and Ash release. And you and I were kind of on similar wavelengths. I was a little easier on it. I was okay with them announcing these things ahead of time. But my reasoning, what I told you, do you even remember what I told you? Was if they're going to announce that the X-Men are in this movie, if they're going to announce that Steve Rogers is in this movie, yes, I want that to be a surprise. There has to be justification and a reason for that to exist. And from what I'm understanding happened at CinemaCon, they are basically saying these aren't just cameos, these aren't just side characters. These characters are playing a massive pivotal role in this movie, and they're playing it to the degree of these are our lead characters, the Wakandans, obviously. The X-Men are apparently riddled in the entire trailer that they saw at CinemaCon. There's like a whole huge section with it. I didn't hear a lot about Steve Rogers in the trailer.
He's in the trailer.
I'm assuming he was.
Not to spoil it, but he was also at CinemaCon.
I knew he
like
was
Chris
at
Evans
CinemaCon.
was at CinemaCon. He had a funny interaction with Downey, who was obviously there.
Right. I know they showed a little bit of Doom in costume, and he has like the Latvian accent and whatnot, and it's obviously very different from Iron Man. That's the biggest thing they're trying to separate in this trailer, is that it's not Iron Man. It very clearly is just Robert Downey Jr. playing Dr. Doom. Here's the thing that I really wanted to say. Because you and I were both on the same spot of like, I wish they didn't reveal it. I wish they didn't reveal that they had all these cast members. No, I'm actually okay with those 4 trailers now, especially if this is the marketing they're going for. Like, hey, this is a multiversal movie. These aren't cameos. These are big roles. Like, this is the Fox X-Men universe. We are announcing this not because we wanted to keep it from you, but because we need you to understand, like, this is the story we're going down. And I actually am more okay with it. And if this is the case of what they're doing, we already knew this, but I don't think any of us really had like the concept of it. This is really going to be the most ambitious project that Marvel has ever done.
I definitely think it's going to be the most ambitious. I am still afraid that if they are going to play a major role, that the movie will feel too busy, and that's something we've talked about before. But I do have a theory that I was talking about with some people the other day when all this news was dropping, is I still think there is a good chance that what's going to happen in this movie is pretty early on in the movie. Like, I'd wager within the first, like, 20 minutes of the movie, all the X-Men die. And then that is used as a bouncing off point to introduce our main world X-Men. Because I think my biggest thing is these X-Men, like the cast that they've announced, like Cyclops and Professor X and all of this, like, they're never, like, this is their last movie. They're never coming back after this. Okay, maybe Secret Wars, whatever, if my theory isn't true. But, like, we are definitively, they've already announced this officially, which I'm fine with them announcing this, recasting all of the X-Men. Like, everyone is getting recast.
Yes.
And so my theory is that all of the old X-Men are going to die in an incursion event relatively early on in the movie, and that's what's going to kick off the actual plot, and that's where we're going to start over the course of either this movie or Secret Wars, introducing our X-Men. Obviously, we have the theory that Jean Grey is in Brand New Day, which comes out before Doomsday, so that would technically be the first X-Men to be introduced in Brand New Day, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the direction that they went with.
I have a hard time with the idea that they're going to introduce our X-Men in this universe, because we all know that it's a good ending superhero story. Obviously, they could pull a Crisis on Infinite Earths ending with Secret Wars. They could have all the planets come back, or they could all be on one combined Earth. I really don't know. Obviously, at some point, even though they're not announced, Jackman and Reynolds are showing up. They are part of the Fox X-Men universe.
If not here in Secret Wars. I think everyone's going to be in Secret Wars. I think every single actor who's ever done anything Marvel ever in history is going to be in Secret Wars.
Well, and I say that because I do agree with you. I do think the X-Men are going to die. I think they're making a statement with the X-Men, because I think that, from what I understand, and this isn't even my theory, this is Eric Voss's theory. When I actually, after reading about the stuff, I went ahead and just watched his breakdown of what he saw and what he thinks. He says that they're going to die, and that's what scares Thor, because Thor
Yes.
is with these people. He knows how powerful these people are, especially somebody like Magneto and Professor X. And if they get demolished, that's what's going to frighten him the most. I don't, however, think it's going to be at the very beginning of the film, because somehow you have to get Thor over into that universe. You have to somehow transition him over. I think the first thing we're going to get is the Fantastic Four and the Thunderbolts. We're going to get all that bit that we saw with the Wakandans are going to be thrown in there somehow. Hey, we can multiversal travel. That's what this ship is for. That's what we're going to be using it for. Whatever. That's how it's going to work. And we're going to get that connection first. They're going to convert universes. Thor's going to find his way into the X-Men universe, because obviously there's a bunch of things that's got to happen. Apparently in the trailer there was Shang-Chi versus Gambit. There was Thor versus somebody else. I know it was Doom specifically, but I think there was another X-Men he was fighting at one point. I don't really know what it is, but we know that this is why I know that it can't be in the first 20 minutes that they're going to die, because I know they got to play a substantial part of this movie. Otherwise, they wouldn't just announce them. And also, I'm not saying every single one of them are going to die. I have a very strange. Obviously, I know Deadpool and Wolverine somehow are going to make it into Secret Wars. They're going to be like the only few X-Men surviving. Obviously, they're going to make it. If I had to guess, I would imagine they're not going to kill off Magneto yet right away. They'll probably hold him over into Secret Wars just because he's such a big part of it. But I think what you said about we're going to learn about our own new X-Men in that universe, I don't think so. The only one who I could see showing up in Secret Wars would be Sadie Sink as Jean Grey, because let's be honest, that's 100% who she's playing. She's not playing another character.
Well, and I think here's the thing. I have a hopium that I've been huffing recently. It's not going to happen, and it sucks that it's not going to happen, because I think it would be one of the biggest insano moves that they could pull, like, ever, is I would love, legitimately more than anything, if we get Avengers Doomsday, and right now, we don't have any confirmed Marvel movies between Doomsday and Secret Wars that I know about. I don't think we do.
No.
What I would love, absolutely love, we typically get a summer Marvel movie. We almost always get a summer Marvel movie. We get Secret Wars or we get Doomsday in December. Then, summertime, they announce it at the end of Doomsday. Like, it's these characters will return in, but it's not these characters will return in Secret Wars. It's these characters will return in Battle World. Because I don't know how much you know about Secret Wars and the story of Secret Wars.
It takes place in Battle World.
Right. There is a story kind of as an in-between, somewhat involved in, it is very involved in Secret Wars, but essentially it's Doom rewrites reality and he creates a world that he is the leader of, known as Battle World, where he basically controls everything. Yes. I think that unfortunately, I know it's not going to happen. It's a BS theory. It's hopium. Unfortunately, I know that's not going to happen. But that's the theory that I would love. And I think Marvel could pull a really insane move on, instead of saying, like, these characters will return in Secret Wars, these characters will return in Battle World. Boom, summer blockbuster Battle Worlds that leads into your, I believe Secret Wars is almost exactly a year after Doomsday.
Sure.
Leading into Doomsday.
I don't know about that. I like that concept. That's a very, Supreme Leader Coy Jandro type concept
yes,
right there.
It is. Supreme Leader.
I don't think they're going to go that route. We would have probably already heard something, even though they totally could blow our minds. I just don't. If the Stranger Things secret finale isn't happening, I don't think the secret Battle World show is happening either.
It's hopium. It's not happening, but I think that's one of those things where it's like, I would love for that to happen. Because, like, again, my biggest fear right now is just, like, Doom has not been set up at all other than the end of Fantastic Four. And I'm not saying I don't trust the Russo brothers. Hell, Doomsday could be 4 hours long for all we know. We have no idea. But it's like, how the hell do you wrap up one of the biggest events in Marvel history with Secret Wars in two movies when, like, you're not going to do Secret Wars again for another maybe 20 years if you ever do it again. And if we don't get Battle World, which is such a core thing to Secret Wars,
so
It's difficult. I'm still excited for these movies, but it feels so rushed the more I think about it and the more I even hear about this movie that I can't help but be like, I know how to do this better, and I know the whole thing with Jonathan Majors happened. This was never the plan. It was supposed to be Kang Dynasty. Are they even going to address that? Is Doom going to go and kill all the Kangs? Are we going to start the movie like that? Like, maybe
I
that's
think they
why
should.
Thor is afraid. Like, yeah.
I think they should. Here's the other thing. We know that. Well, we don't know this. The running theory for a long time is that the Void would end up being Battleworld, which actually that's still probably a very likely option because I think some
It's
way somehow,
possible.
obviously, because Hiddleston's in this, the TVA is going to play, no matter how big of a factor, is going to play a factor in this movie in some regard. We're going to see B-15. We're going to see this person and that person, whatever. They're going to be involved in some way somehow. I would like to believe that the Void will end up being Battleworld just because Doom can easily kill Loki, take the strands. Maybe he gets rid of all of the multiverse timelines, making Battleworld the only last few world, and then whoever's in that is his kingdom. Or he pulls the strands together. Whoever survives from that ends up in the Void, and that's Battleworld. I'm just speculating. I don't fully know.
It is one of those things. I can't remember if it's Secret Wars 1 or Secret Wars 2, or if this is Crisis on Infinite Earths. I can't remember. I apologize, but I believe in one of the Secret Wars stories, essentially after Secret Wars, it's all one universe again. Like it's all like
Yes.
all timelines converge and
That
there's no other like anything else. And that's
I
been a big
know,
thing
yeah.
with Marvel about kind of hinting at, they've literally said verbatim, we're not going to do a full reset. Like it's not like everyone's going to disappear, but everything will not be like, things will be fundamentally different after Secret Wars, essentially. So that would be one way to do it, where you kind of get rid of the multiverse. Now, I don't think that's the greatest idea, but it is an instance where Doom's going around causing incursion events and kind of combines all the worlds. We now have Fantastic Four on our planet. We now have a version of the X-Men on our planet. We now have like Deadpool on our planet, all these characters on our planet. And that is what their like quote unquote reset is for the Marvel Universe, which a lot of people think is necessary. I'm not saying it's not necessary, but I'm saying it depends on how they do it.
At the end of Secret Wars, the multiverse is not unified into a single world. Instead, each universe retains its own identity and territory on planet Battleworld, which is a patch world of various realities salvaged from the destroyed multiverse. Multiverse is recreated. It does not merge into a singular world. It is instead, each universe just continues to exist as a separate entity within
Yeah,
Battleworld.
I apologize. I get some of the, there's so many multiversal main storylines
No,
in comics that it's hard to
I
keep
get
them
that. I wasn't trying
sometimes,
to
but
fact check you. I didn't know
yeah.
myself because I
No,
also would
but
be going off of Crisis because that's the
well, no,
only thing that
because
we've seen from obviously the Arrowverse and then in the comics. It's just confusing.
well, because I know for a fact with like the Secret Wars story, like Battle World is basically Doom erases everything else and combines them into Battle World, which is the one universe that he controls everything of. Good guys are bad,
Right.
bad guys are good. He's the supreme leader type of thing.
Right.
You can't tell that story in one movie, but I also don't see them like, I don't know. Again, like I don't want to harp on this too much because like we have a year and we haven't even seen a trailer yet. But it
Right.
is like, I have theories that I want to see happen. I unfortunately know they probably won't happen, but
Well, yes, and obviously, like, there's things we don't know. Why is Doom collecting the children? We assume he's collecting the children because obviously in the first trailer we see Steve Rogers with his baby. We see Thor with Love in the second trailer. Obviously, X-Men all has to do with kids and mutants and whatnot. Um, and obviously at the end of Fantastic Four in its post-credit scene, we see him going to Franklin Richards. We assume that he's going to collect all of these kids to use them for something. Maybe it's luring them together to. Maybe it's just luring every one of these worlds together so he can create Battleworld. I don't fully know. The last thing I want to touch on, and this is just because I had a theory about this. Doom probably can't be doing this alone. I think he has to have people. And
no, he can.
I'm not saying he can't. Hear me out. I read this. Obviously, we haven't seen anything yet, but the Captain America in the first trailer that we saw was the Captain America we saw at the end of Endgame. He has a kid with Peggy. he probably created an incursion. That's why Doom's probably going to go to him anyway, we assume. In the trailer, we see not old Captain America, we see young Captain America with Thor, but he's more disheveled. He has the long hair. He has a beard. Could that be Captain Hydra pretending to be Captain America? And he's fighting for Doom. I thought about that being a possibility. I just want to throw that out there because I think that would be a crazy pull if they went that route.
I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying it's unlikely because Doom is very much an operate alone type of villain. He is like Thor's line about like, oh, this is the most terrifying villain we've ever faced. Like, that's true. Like, Doom is more powerful than Thanos. Like, Doom is, like, basically the biggest threat in Marvel's history. And I think that, again, that's the big, I don't want to harp on it too much again, but, like, that's the big fear with using Doom and not setting him up like you did with Thanos. And that's why I think, like, I don't think they're going to defeat Doom at the end of Secret Wars. Because, like, how? How do you defeat Doom at the end of Secret Wars? That would feel like a waste of the biggest Marvel villain ever, in my opinion, if using him for 2 movies and moving on. When Thanos, who, yeah, is a big villain, but Thanos got appearances and multiple, and then got 2, like, he got appearances for, like, nearly 8 years, and then his own 2 movies.
Right, well, and again, you could, it's all speculation, we have a year, and I'll end it with this. I'm more so excited for this film than I think I actually have been ever, even with this information we got about a trailer, because people went insane for it. I'm not saying it's going to be good. Obviously, the fears are still there, but I'm more excited for it, and regardless of what comes, I actually am going to be there probably 10 times like I was for Endgame, just because of how much I enjoy this franchise.
Speaking of Endgame, did you see that they're officially re-releasing it in theaters leading up?
I did, yes.
I'm gonna see that movie 9 more times in theaters, brother. I'm gonna be there. My butt's gonna be in that seat. I wanted them to do it, and I'm so happy that they are doing it, because, like, that's a movie that, like, I could watch a million times. I legitimately could.
There are some films I want to rewatch again in theaters just because the experience I had the first time was so magical. Endgame's one of them. Obviously, Infinity War. I would watch Infinity War again 10 times.
Yeah.
I would rewatch that original Avengers films. Funny enough, I would love to rewatch both. This one for sure, Rogue One. I would love to rewatch Rogue One in theaters again. I would love to watch The Force Awakens. I know that not a lot of people love the sequel trilogy, but getting that experience that I got watching Force Awakens would be so cool.
Yeah, but with Endgame, did you hear that it's not going to be the Endgame we saw? There's going to be, and I don't know how this is going to work, and I don't, like, I heard that there's going to be, like, deleted scenes and specials and things, but they also said there's, like, secret bonuses that are going to, like, lead into things. I have no idea what that means. Are they recutting Endgame and making it a different movie with new scenes, or are we talking like we're gonna get like a 4-hour version and the last like 20 minutes is like a director's like commentary with like a trailer for Doomsday or something like that? Like, what does that mean?
I swear, it's gonna. The only new thing they're gonna add is they're gonna be dancing with Peggy. Cap's gonna be dancing with Peggy, and the camera pans, and it doesn't end with long time. You just pan, and all of a sudden, RDJ's just standing over his shoulder. You're like, frick, what are we gonna do? Like, that's how it's gonna end.
That's my thing, though, is, like, I'm not saying, like, oh, Endgame is super sacred. It is, but I do feel like it would kind of be sacrilegious to, like, if their goal of saying we're making changes to Endgame is to shoehorn in Doom or a connection to Doomsday or Secret Wars in there, which I'm not saying they're going to do, but the way that they're talking about it is kind of suspicious. That would feel kind of shitty. Like, that, I'd feel like if that's the only way that you can do it, then clearly this isn't planned well enough, and that would not feel good.
Well, there's a chance it could not be planned well enough. That's not the point, though. I mean, obviously, I don't think they're going to shoehorn him in there. I think, obviously, the deleted scenes we know is, like, Smart Hulk becoming Smart Hulk from Infinity War. Obviously, we see him in the beginning when he comes in, he saves, like, people from a fire. I've seen some of the deleted scenes. I kind of remember what it is. Yeah. I think the obvious thing of what this could mean is they're going to reveal that the end of Endgame, whereas it was Cap's choice, they might release the first scene that Cap has with Doom, which very well could be the first scene of Doomsday. which is probably revealing, hey, you did all these things, you had a long rest. So it keeps the story intact if he does have a happy ending, but continuing the story of you causing an incursion by doing this. You weren't meant to be here. You could still, at the very end of Secret Wars or Doomsday, give Cap his happy ending. But again, if it's merged all together on Battleworld, and like this thing is saying here, and every territory has its own identity, every planet is its own thing, it just all coexists in the same universe. Okay, that's fine. So you can still give Cap his happy ending being with Peggy, but it's just off somewhere else. That way you end it. I don't know. I'm spitballing. Let's move on to something else.
Well, actually, I want to say one last thing.
Go right ahead. I'm
Everyone's
looking for the
been
next
wondering,
thing.
everyone's been asking, when are we getting our first official Doomsday trailer? When are we getting our first official Doomsday trailer? I just looked up when the Endgame re-release is, and it's September. That is going to be our Doomsday trailer. It's going to be with the re-release of Endgame. You make that face, that's 5 months away from December. That is still super, like, we didn't get a brand new day trailer until, like, 3 months before the movie comes out. Like, Endgame has been being advertised for, like, a year. So, like, I would not be surprised if the Avengers Endgame re-release is when we get the first trailer for Doomsday. Because if not, it's gonna be D23. That's the only other thing I could think of, is it's gonna be D23, or it's going to be, because you have, I mean, September re-release, that's like pretty in line with when a trailer typically gets released leading into a movie. And it's not like this is our first time seeing footage of it. I'm just saying our first time seeing big footage of it, like a actual trailer. Like I didn't know it was September until I looked it up, but it says here the Russos announced that the September 25th release will include like additional footage and stuff. I think that is when we're gonna get our Doomsday trailer, and it's gonna be go see Endgame again in theaters to get your Doomsday trailer. I think that's exactly what they're gonna do.
I'll be honest. Now that I'm looking at it, you very well could get that, because I'm looking at Endgame right now, and I guess I just forgot because it's been 7 years. We didn't get a teaser for that. We only got an official trailer, and that released March 14th of 2019.
Yeah.
3 months before Endgame came out.
Exactly. In this movie, we've already gotten more information for this movie a year in advance of watching this movie than you get for 99.999% of movies, including other major Marvel movies. Like, Endgame didn't do this, and in no offense to Doomsday, Endgame is the biggest movie of all time in terms of importance for superheroes ever. No, like, period. And that did not get the lead up that Doomsday is getting. So I would not be surprised if the September 25th re-release of Endgame is when we get our first Doomsday trailer. And I love that, honestly. I'd love to watch the first Doomsday trailer in theaters. Are you kidding me? It beats watching it on my TV, and I have a good TV.
Let's see here. Let's discuss this. Okay. Mando and Grogu. Obviously, you talked about the 10 minutes or the 15 minutes of
yeah, I think it was like 15 to 20 minutes of the like. I haven't watched any of the breakdowns or anything of that. I've heard that it's positive. I heard the reviews are positive. I'll say that. I'm looking forward to the movie.
Which honestly for me means nothing, purely because, let's be honest, a positive thing from CinemaCon with a bunch of nerds and a bunch of people who really are into it probably doesn't mean all that much. It just means that they're very excited for it.
You do have to remember, though, that we are those nerds in target audience.
I agree, and I'm going to love the crap out of this. But for any other human being who isn't a nerd, who somehow is watching the Nerdy Nimrods podcast, it'll fully determine when this film actually gets released.
I just hope that this doesn't end up being like the lowest grossing Star Wars film of all time, which is currently held by Solo, which I think made about 250, 270 mil in theaters, which is like nothing for a Star Wars movie, where like every other mainstream movie made like a bill.
I think it could, but that's not because the film is either good or bad. I truly think that's just because nobody goes to the movies anymore, which we've talked about.
Well, it is, yeah. Like, a Mario movie is now the highest grossing movie of the year, and it's only at 650.
Yeah.
Which is like nothing compared to other years. Like, the other Mario movie made over $1 billion. It's the second highest grossing movie of the year it came out, which was, 2023, I think?
Right, and how far off is that from Project Hail Mary? Because truthfully,
not far at all. Like, Project Hail Mary is, I think, I don't even know if it's at half. I'm looking it up now. I literally checked it earlier. I should know this off the top of my head. Yeah, Project Hail Mary's at 538, Mario's at 650.
Yeah, so it's not far off. And Project Hail Mary, you know, in a lot of
It's
people's
better.
eyes, maybe my own, maybe not, is a better movie, but what some people would consider probably the best movie so far of this year. And it
Yeah.
still is not even making like, I don't know if it's making its money back by any means. I don't know if it's done that at this point, but it's certainly not as high as it
It's
would have been if this released in like 2019. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly. And like I don't want to talk on that part too long just because we've talked it to death about like movie theaters and stuff like that, like please go see movies, but like
Right.
yeah, it is what it is. Another big piece of news that I saw was they saw the first Clayface trailer. I think Clayface
Yes, and they said it
is
was very
something that
yes.
I was intrigued by leading into it because it's supposed to be a horror movie, but we were also told that Multiverse of Madness was supposed to be a horror movie. So what does that mean? According to the people that saw the trailer, like, no, this is a horror movie, like a body horror movie, like a
Yeah,
rated R, you're gonna be uncomfortable movie, which
which
is
honestly I
super
want.
exciting.
I
Yeah.
want from this film. That's exactly what I want from a Clayface movie.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I will say, like, I was intrigued by the movie, but from what I've heard outside of that, and also that movie is coming pretty soon, so we'll probably get a trailer for that sometime over the next few months. I think it's a September
yeah.
release, I think, something like that, September, October. So we'll probably get our
Um,
own first trailer soon, and that's really exciting.
touching on some other ones, I'll try to go through these briefly so we can actually get into what we're talking about. Unless there's something we really want to talk about. Oh, there's one we're definitely really going to want to talk about. But I'll brush through these really quickly. Lord of the Rings getting a full cast announcement. I find it really funny that the only person who's recast is Viggo Mortensen, and that's just because he's the only one who is really aged out of his role. Ian McKellen's
Yeah.
returning. It's so unfortunate because if they decided to do this, like maybe even like 5 years ago, I'm not saying Viggo Mortensen still would have looked like a young, like as young as he was, but even if they did it 5 years ago, maybe Viggo Mortensen could have done it. They just waited too darn long, and now we're stuck with Jamie Dornan, who might not do a bad performance, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, no. Well, and it is the difficult thing of like, yeah, that's you want to go back in time. Unfortunately, human beings don't go back in time, and I will say I would much rather them recast than try to de-age him. Like, I
I
don't
completely agree
like
with that.
de-aging technology. I think it's very hit or miss. I think
Right.
there are very few instances that I've ever understood or been okay with it. One example being Princess Leia in Rogue One, but even then, they literally used Carrie Fisher's actual daughter as the stand-in.
Right.
So that I'm more okay with. Plus, Carrie Fisher was alive at the time. It was more a thing along the lines of like, hey, obviously Carrie Fisher does not look like young Princess Leia anymore. We need to do something about it. But it was very important to the story to have that in there. With this, if it's a whole character that's playing a whole role in the movie, don't I don't know if you've seen this, the whole Val Kilmer movie that they're making, that like they're
Yeah.
literally to 100%. I'm not going to the movie. I'm not going to see that movie. I don't think anyone should support that movie. I hope that movie bombs. Fuck that movie. I don't care if his family gave permission. There are so many actors out there that can take those roles. Val Kilmer's dead. We don't need it to be, this isn't Val Kilmer's life story. Don't make it Val Kilmer. Cast literally anyone else. There's so many struggling actors out there. But like when
Yeah.
it comes to this, like I'm glad that they're giving someone else the opportunity, even if it's one of those things of like, yeah, we grew up with a certain person playing a certain character, and unfortunately, they just can't do it anymore. Not because they're not capable, because they're old.
Yeah.
Or
Um,
older.
yeah, I agree with you. And Jamie Dornan do a good job. You know how much Lord of the Rings means to me. You know how much I think that franchise is just perfect from start to finish. One of the movies is one of my favorites of all time. I think that I don't know. We'll see what happens. I was never fully on board with this movie to begin with, even though I do really want it. I still don't know if I'm on board with it, even though I really want it.
The only
Just
thing that gives me faith is just that it's Andy Serkis that's leading it because it's the Hunt for
it's
Gollum,
yeah. Well,
obviously.
it's
And like,
obviously it's Circus, it's McKellen, Elijah Wood's coming back. Uh, I can't remember the. Let me look at the rest of the cast of this. Hold on, you keep
well, it's just
going.
like along the lines of like, I just trust Andy Serkis. I know that's like, oh, why do you trust a celebrity or something like that? But like, Andy Serkis has never steered me wrong, like ever. And so if Andy Serkis is like, I want to make this movie, I trust that he at least is going to put his heart and soul into making this movie. And some people might still call it a cash grab or whatever, but like, I don't see that being something that Andy Serkis would do.
We have two new characters, one being played by Leah Woodland, the other being played by Kate Winslet. Lee Pace is coming back as Thandril from the Hobbit franchise, who we actually haven't seen since the Hobbit franchise, but this is actually the weird connection between the Hunt for Gollum and Lord of the Rings. Thandril's not in the Lord of the Rings; he's only in the Hobbit. Yeah. So, like, I think he might be talked about in Lord of the Rings because obviously he's family members with Legolas. So also probably Orlando Bloom at some point, unless he gets recast, will show up at some point in this film as well.
I mean, I think Orlando Bloom could easily come back as Legolas.
They probably would have to de-age him a little bit, especially when you look at him now. He definitely does not.
I think you can make up him. I think you can make up him.
Well, they did have to de-age him a little bit in The Hobbit. So think about, that's 11 years ago now. He probably is going to.
Fair enough. And elves are known for not aging and whatever.
Right. So you're going to
thematically he needs to look young.
But he also doesn't have to play a big role, considering he plays a big role in The Hobbit. He doesn't technically have to come back until the Lord of the Rings starts. But yeah, Lord of the Rings. They got some footage for Dune Part 3, and they're calling it Saving Private Ryan on Arrakis. Thank you.
I saw that. Yeah. I'm so excited for that movie. I don't think this is going to be like the best trilogy of all time type of movie series, but like I think it will be up there in the top 10 if they pull this movie off well, and that just excites me because I like Dune. So
I'm not going to list off all of these. There was a big Warner Brother thing. Obviously, they had some things for Supergirl. Another Evil Dead movie, Evil Dead Wrath. A Game of Thrones movie called Aegon's Conquest, which sounds really good. The Ocean's
we got the Snoop Dogg biopic. We got one that I'm honestly kind of... look, I am excited for Toy Story 5 to a degree. I'm curious to see what they do. Did you hear that they're giving Woody a beer belly?
I saw that and I thought it was a joke. So when you just
it's unfortunately very serious and very stupid, because here's the thing.
How?
Why? Is a toy. Toys can be bald because the plastic and coloring can rub off. Right. Toys cannot gain weight. I legitimately have no idea why they thought that was a funny thing.
Also,
or how they're gonna pull that off.
I'm about to say, why give him a beer belly in the first place? What's the context? That's not gonna do anything.
Yeah, exactly. I literally saw that and went, "Why? This this is pointless."
I'm slowly losing faith in Toy Story 5, which I don't like because I actually liked all the other Toy Story movies very much.
I mean, Toy Story 3 is one of my favorite movies. Like, Toy Story 3 is so good. And here's the thing, like, Toy Story 4 is not a bad movie. It is just a pointless movie. And I think Toy Story 5 is going to run into the problem where if Toy Story 4 was already pointless, Toy Story 5 is going to feel even more pointless.
So actually, can I touch on something you said there? I don't think Toy Story 4 is pointless. I think it feels pointless because Toy Story 4 actually has a lot to say, and I think it does a fantastic job with saying it. I actually like the end. I'm one of the only people who probably does like the ending of that movie. I think Toy Story 4 is outstanding. I don't think it is pointless. I think it feels pointless because there is a lot that movie does that's absolutely right and honestly would be a logical continuation point for the Toy Story characters. I mean, that's how I feel, at least.
My thing is the ending of Toy Story 3 was just so gosh darn good.
I agree.
Like, if you want to continue the concept of Toy Story, that's fine. Make a spin-off. Make different characters. Follow a different child. If you want to tell the technology story, cool. I think companies have the wrong idea on, like, oh, we need to have all of our legacy characters to get people back in theaters. No, you need a good story. Like, yes, the legacy characters help. I know. I'm not stupid. But, like, at the same time, like, just tell a good story and it'll come into a life of its own. So, yeah, Toy Story 5. Why'd you give him a beer belly? I just don't get it. There was a Disclosure Day trailer that they saw. That
Yep.
was kind of intriguing. I'm excited for that movie. I mean, it's Steven Spielberg. Another one. I don't know how much we want to talk about this because there isn't that much to talk about. Confirmation on Top Gun 3. I
Yep.
don't know if you're excited for that or not,
I
but
don't know why it's
I mean,
happening beyond money. Maybe make it good because that other movie also was really good.
look, it's Tom Cruise. It's Tom Cruise. Like, I get it. Tom Cruise, he's one of the saviors of movie theaters and Scientology. So I think it's one of those things where it's like, is it necessary? No. But it's not like a Toy Story situation where I'm like, oh, it's gonna ruin the franchise if they make another one type of thing. Like, you can
Yeah.
make another Top Gun and make it make sense. Like, the original Top Gun's a really good movie. I would even say Top Gun Maverick is better than the original movie. I freaking love Top Gun Maverick. I saw Top
Yeah.
Gun Maverick with my parents. My parents loved the Top Gun movies and Top Gun Maverick and all of that. I'll probably
Yeah.
see Top Gun 3 with my parents. Like, I love those movies. I'm just like, did I need it? No. Am I going to love it? Probably.
Last few things we can talk about. Spider-Man: Brand New Day had a clip. I'm not going to touch into that too much because I didn't look at this and I don't want to
Yeah,
read
I
about
didn't
this
look all
right
that
here.
much in depth.
I know I did see the
So,
poster. They released a poster with it. X-Men '97 season 2 got an official release date. Very excited for that. It doesn't say they did anything, but they talked a little bit more about Punisher, One Last Kill. Daredevil Born Again season 3 is officially confirmed. It's greenlit and apparently it already started production in March. I'm
yeah.
assuming we already knew that. I just didn't know that. The biggest one, which came out of nowhere, I'm being completely honest, came out of nowhere. I wasn't even thinking that it would even happen. Beyond the Spider-Verse getting
Yeah.
its official release.
Yeah. Well, we knew the official release date. We did. We've known that for a while. This isn't like a new information thing. It's just that we got our first official public images of the movie, which,
Right.
like, mind you, I mean, they look fucking incredible. Like, they do. Like, that movie, I will tell you, and this is probably not even a hot take, if Beyond the Spider-Verse is as good as the other ones, that will go down. It will beat Lord of the Rings for the best trilogy of all time. It will.
Very debatable, but I there's a chance I could even believe you on that. Like when
That's
I
the
say it's
thing. Like,
debatable, I say it's debatable, but that very well could be true.
if Beyond hits as hard as the other movies did, like, no one thought they could top Into. Like, Into is a perfect movie. It's phenomenal. It is an amazing movie. No one thought I mean, they freaking taught that movie in colleges the year after it came out. It was so good. No one thought they could top it. Boom! Across the Spider-Verse comes out better than the first one, pretty much universally agreed upon by most people.
Yeah,
Beyond could come out and if it tops Across, it's the best. It could be. I mean, Into and Across are already in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. Beyond very much could be my favorite movie of all time if they hit the nail on the head.
I just had to exit out of the thing I was reading because they gave it like a whole description of what the context of the scenes were that they released there.
Oh yeah, I haven't read
want to
those. I've just seen the images.
I literally just exited out of the page because like, nope, not reading that, not even gonna tempt myself, and I exited out of it. Look, ultimately, I think a lot of what was announced at CinemaCon was honestly pretty exciting stuff. We got further clarification. Again, the biggest thing that we did get was Endgame, or not Endgame, Doomsday, and I think there's a lot of things that are more so intriguing with that.
Hey, don't discount Spaceballs, the new one. Did you hear? Because Mel Brooks talked about back in, what, the 80s or the 90s or something like that, where if they were ever going to make another Spaceballs, it was going to be Spaceballs, The Quest for More Money, which I think is the perfect title. I think that is literally the perfect title. But he did officially announce that, like, they changed the official title to Spaceballs, The New One, and they had, like, the whole cast there at the panel talking about it. I love Spaceballs. It's
I'm
such a
excited.
fun parody movie.
Mel Brooks even still, like, he did History of the World Part 2 recently, still proves that he's got comedic chops and that it's very funny.
Like, Spaceballs is one of those that, like, I have zero problem with them making another one at all. That movie is going to be funny. I'm going to be sat there and I'm gonna have a good time. Like, I'm so freaking excited for that movie.
Speaking of having a good time, we watched a lot of things that I feel like we did have a good time with this week. But before we get to that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the Nerdy Nimrods podcast, episode 59?
Yep.
59. Episode 59. We're glad you're here. I am your host this evening, Carson, aka Juggernaut, here with my forever co-host,
Brandon, aka Parrotfish.
and today we're talking about Maul, The Boys, Invincible, not in that order, but we're talking about them. And obviously,
Close to the order.
Spoiler warning for everything we're talking about, especially for The Boys and Invincible. Spoiler warning across the board. You have been warned. Click off, or if you don't care, welcome. Glad you're here. Brandon, what's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm good. It's been a busy day, recording at a different time than normal, but I've been able to be productive today, which is good. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about all these things. I will additionally, Carson, and talk about this. We
Yes,
weren't
sorry.
originally going to review this movie. I saw the movie, and let's just say I won't spoil my thoughts until I get into it, but I had a lot to say about Exit 8, which is the new Japanese psychological thriller movie that we were never planning on talking about the podcast, but Carson did mention that he might see it. He probably still will see it.
I still will.
We just don't have time. We have so many TV shows. Hell, next week we're also going to have all the same TV shows, Michael and Stranger Things Tales from 85, which also I saw the first 2 episodes of today. So I was going to give my thoughts on those, but Carson said to save it for next week, so we're gonna save it for next week, just so that it doesn't get spoiled for him, which is fair. But yeah, next week's gonna be busy. This week's busy, but I am gonna give a little mini review of Exit 8. There won't be any back and forth or anything like that, but yeah. Carson, how are you doing before I get into that?
WrestleMania week. I'm literally pulled my shirt out of the laundry hamper before we started so I can run downstairs, plug in my computer, connect to the television so I could watch that. Let's go, Randy Orton. Please, for the love of God, do not put... I'm sorry. You're not going to understand this. WrestleMania is a sacred event for wrestlers. Do not put celebrities in my WrestleMania match.
They already did. You already told me about Jelly Roll.
Oh, my God. Jelly Roll's going to show up. Pat McAfee's already here. The only one that I'm okay with is I Show Speed being in this because he's not in the main event. He's in a very small match with a bunch of people like Logan Paul, who I would classify now as a professional wrestler. If you're somebody who is still confused why he's in there, I'm sorry. He is very talented. He deserves to be there.
I'm not confused. I just don't like Logan Paul.
I'm about to say, if you don't like him, that's fine. That's one thing. To say that he doesn't belong there or that he's not talented in that field is just crazy and completely outlandish. But pretty good. Excited for that. Go ahead and give me your quick thoughts on Exit 8.
Yeah, so I saw Exit 8 last night. I was not originally planning on seeing this movie. I think it's one of those ones that I like to see as many movies in theaters as possible, but typically foreign films slip through the cracks for me. And let's just say, I am so glad I saw this movie. It is really good. It uses its concept of repetition and suspense so incredibly well. Like, I was literally watching the screen more intently than I've watched almost any other movie, because the whole point, and this isn't a big spoiler, is you're walking down this hallway and you have to look for anomalies in the hallway, and if you see one, you have to turn around. But the anomalies could be as big as blood rushing down the hallway, or a doorknob is slightly off center. That is like how specific you need to be. And so I'm sitting there watching the screen going, oh my God, like, what's going to be different this time? What's going to be the same? Is something bad going to happen? But that's not what makes this movie so good. What makes this movie so good is the underlying story and heart that this movie has. I think that, again, it's a story about repetition. It's a story about, do you really want to log into your 9 to 5 and do the same boring ass thing? As someone who works a boring ass 9 to 5, I felt that I cried during this movie because I literally saw myself in this guy going through the daily life of repetitiveness and how deep that hit me to my core. But also, you have a fatherhood story mixed in here, and there are 2 major twists in this movie that actually I did not see coming and blew my mind, that I won't spoil, but like, you'll sit there and go, oh shit, I did not think that that was going to happen. This is incredible. And so I think that this is a movie that if you love psychological thriller movies, it's a must see. It is an absolute must see. I think that some people, the only small complaints is like, I wish this movie was longer. I wish that we got more repetition and more, like, just more in this world and in this scenario. But at the same time, I'm glad that they didn't drag it out and like force you to sit there for longer than you needed to. Like, it gets in, it tells its story, it makes you feel very uneasy at times, and then the movie ends. And I think that that is something that a lot of movies struggle with, where they either end way too early or way too late. Yes, this leans on the too early at some points in time, but at the same time, like, it doesn't overstay its welcome, and it hits its message really hard, at least for me. Like, I don't think this movie's gonna hit as hard for everyone, but if you work a 9 to 5 and you feel like you're going through the motions and your life is boring, watch this movie. I think you're gonna really feel this movie. Like, it's really good. Go see Exit 8.
Yeah, that's most of what I've heard. Everybody's been saying that's actually pretty, really good to outstanding.
It's my number 4 favorite movie of the year right now. That is
I'm
how
excited.
good this movie is.
I'm excited to see it. Okay, let's start with the one that I think we're going to talk about probably the least. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, and we'll start with something else if you feel like I'm wrong. Let's talk about...
I think we just go with the same order we did last time. I think we just go with
Maul,
Invincible, The Boys. Again, yeah. There will be timestamps in the description for anyone who wants to jump around or what have you. Spoilers for everything.
Go ahead and give us your thoughts on Maul then. Go ahead and give us your thoughts on Maul.
Yeah, give me a second. Okay. Maul continues to be really freaking good. These 2 episodes, I think, were better than the first episodes. It really feels like lived in Star Wars. I think that's the biggest thing for me. It's like, the Star Wars world is so cool. It really is. But the only times we ever get to really live in it and actually experience, like, the underbelly or the characters is something like Clone Wars or Rebels. But the problem with those shows is they go on for so long that sometimes there will be stories that are boring or you just tune out of, and characters you don't care as much about. Maul, because it's so short and we're already halfway through the season, it doesn't have to worry about that. It can get straight to the point, and there are elements like our police chief, for instance, or our lieutenant or whatever, who has a son who he goes to his games. That doesn't feel like it's detracting from the movie or the show or anything. It just feels like this is a character who is a real human being who is living in this world. And yeah, we're probably not going to fully explore that whole storyline or anything like that. We only have 4 episodes left, but it makes these characters feel like real people. Obviously, we now know Dio and Devin are 2 Jedi. We've now had them both named. They're both badass, but it's the difference in ideology, the conversations that they have with Maul, and them being Jedi, but also not being Jedi. The Jedi are no more at this point in time. And so that whole conversation with Maul and Devin was really well done. That scene, Maul is so intimidating. He really is. And that scene with him and Devin in the dark, and you just get flashes with a lightsaber light, that is easily the best moment of the show for me, just because, like, you feel how intimidating Maul is, but also, like, Maul is probably the best lightsaber fighter, at least my favorite. So all the scenes where he's fighting Dio and Devin, amazing. Like, the lightsaber choreography is amazing. Like, I cannot sing this show's praises enough. I don't think it's, like, the best thing we've ever gotten with Star Wars. It's not even the best thing we've gotten in the last 3 years, but it is still so good. I mean, Sam Witwer nails it as Maul, and the stuff with Two Boots going on and not wanting to get the Empire involved, that's another element of making the story feel lived in. I mean, these are characters who work for the Empire, and yeah, they're not anti-Empire, they are anti-Empire, but they're not, like, leading the rebellion or anything, but, like, it's the small rebellions and the real characters that are affected by the Empire and their influence and how they're scared of them. And I don't know. I could go on forever. We're getting to our back and forth. I just really, really like Maul. I'm really having a good time with it.
I'm going to say a lot of the same things I said last week, so I'm not really going to harken too much on these quick thoughts. Sam Whitaker does a great job. Absolutely outstanding. You brought up a scene that you thought Maul was intimidating. I actually am going to bring up a different scene that I feel like he's more intimidating in, which is when the Pike Syndicate gets absolutely annihilated after they turn in a dead Maul. He's like, that's not Maul. Yeah, no, that definitely ain't Maul. And he just pulls the lightsaber through his body, igniting it, fights them all off. That was a more intimidating scene. But I do agree with you. The scene in the dark's really good. The plot's in an interesting direction. It's funny enough, it's exactly what I thought the Maul show would be, but I kind of wanted more from it. But also, I think it's just more so like I think the thing I didn't want this show to end up being was something to do with Jedi, just because that is the formulaic thing that Dave Filoni has kind of done. And I already told you about this on the phone a couple days ago. I started to realize, based on another podcast that said the same thing, oh, you're kind of right. Dave Filoni really does a lot of the child stories with an older apprentice or whatnot. And they were starting to head down that route. They kind of cut it off at the end of episode 3. And then episode 4, they brought it back, but not with Maul and her. It was with her own master and her. And I just don't know if I kind of want that to be in my story. I kind of really just want Maul versus the syndicates, trying to bring order to that, versus the captain of this empire hating, I guess, police force of some sort. That's kind of what I want in this show. And so I'm not saying I'm disappointed by what I'm getting. It's still really good, even for Star Wars standards. But I would say it's good. I don't think it's like Andor levels, incredible, or it's not like Andor outstanding TV, like it's going to win a bunch of categories. But as far as like animated shows go for Star Wars, I like this, honestly. Don't hate me. I like this more than I do Bad Batch right now. It's like sitting right below Clone Wars. Okay, let me say it. It's sitting far below Clone Wars because nothing can really top Clone Wars. But right above like Bad Batch, and even right above for me, I think maybe Rebels. But you know my thoughts on Rebels. I'm not as big of a fan on Rebels as most people are. But it's a really good show. It's perfectly, as you're a Star Wars fan, you're gonna love it. If you're a Maul fan, you're gonna love it. I just think that there's a lot of worn out ideas within this. Obviously, talking about Daki and oh gosh, what's her name? I even just thought of it.
Devin.
You just said it. Devin, thank you.
Devin.
But yeah, that scene in the dark is incredible. That scene in the dark is absolutely outstanding.
Yeah. Well, I think here's the thing. I was the one really who was hearkening on that last episode of like, oh, I don't want this to be another story of a lost person who goes to the... I've kind of changed my tune on it a little bit just because they're not going that direction, at least as much as I thought they were going to. And I think here's the interesting thing with the way that they're doing it is I love the morality conversations in Star Wars. I think the morality of the difference between the Sith and the Jedi, and even like the Empire and the Sith, the Empire and the Jedi, like all the morality and what they stand for conversations are so interesting. And Maul sits in one of those very interesting positions of he's not a Sith. He doesn't like the Empire either, but he also doesn't like the Jedi. He is for himself, and he has his own morality and his own things that he stands for. So introducing the Jedi not as a I'm gonna take you under my wing, because we know he doesn't. Again, we know the end of Maul's story, so we know he doesn't collect a new Padawan. Devin doesn't appear again.
Right.
So thinking about it like that and thinking about the direction that they're taking the story, I actually think it's interesting just because those conversations that they had. I mean, literally Maul is saying to Devin's master about like, oh, you're not surviving. You're literally begging for everything. Like, this is not survival. You used to be... And he hyped up the Jedi. He was like, you used to be the force in the galaxy. People used to fear you, and now you are begging for scraps. I think that is like... That's what Maul sits in. Like, Maul is supporting them, and he's not even saying you need to become a Sith. He's just saying the Jedi have failed you. You need to stand for yourself.
Well, and it's very ironic considering when you look at Obi-Wan's last stand against Maul, and I saw somebody go through the deciphering of it, and it's really interesting when you think about it. Obi-Wan kind of goes through the same exact thing when he kills Maul in Rebels. Spoilers for Rebels. Obviously, that show's been out for a while. That's your fault.
Yeah. We know the end of Maul's story.
We know the end of Maul's story. I saw somebody decipher this. When Obi-Wan faces Maul for the final time, Maul's ready to go. He's got his lightsaber out. Obi-Wan has his lightsaber out, and he goes into that original Obi-Wan Kenobi Ewan McGregor pose is what he starts off in. And you see the realization in his face. That's the side of the Jedi that failed. That's what went wrong the first time. That's how we lost. We can't do that again. He assumes the Qui-Gon Jinn pose. Oh, no, not quite. He assumes the newer Alec Guinness Obi-Wan Kenobi pose. Then he assumes the Qui-Gon Jinn pose to try to throw Maul off so that he can kill him and reverse the way he killed Qui-Gon. It's a very interesting technique. Maul's in the same kind of category here where he kind of understands, hey, the Jedi failed. The Sith are a failure because they're wrong. I don't follow them. I don't like either. But you have to understand that world is gone. You have to change. You have to develop in order to survive in any capacity. And honestly, that's what makes Maul such an interesting character. And this isn't more of a question. It's more of a statement of what I'm making. I think the reason Maul does so well after Order 66, obviously he was a Sith. He wasn't a Jedi, but he still would be targeted. Obviously he was, because the clones went to go kill him in his cell. But I think the reason Maul kind of got away with it is because even in the Clone Wars, after Palpatine comes back and kills his brother and kind of betrays him, and he's lying there getting shocked before obviously you find out what happened to him, Maul's kind of accepted early on in the Clone Wars themselves, life's not the same anymore. The Jedi are failing. The Sith have failed. I got to find my own way. I got to make something of myself. He takes Mandalore. He becomes a crime leader. Yada, 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 whatever. That's why he is so, like... It's why he's an interesting character, but it's also why, like, he survives as long as he does. And it's only, ironically, the moment he goes back to the revenge bloodlust of Obi-Wan Kenobi that it eventually is his undoing. If he stayed within his crime syndicate and whatnot, it would be very different. Obviously, you know...
Yeah. No, I think it's a good point. Like, that is Maul's story. Like, he is not a failure. He is someone who was betrayed by pretty much everyone ever. I mean, that's literally the whole story of Maul, is another betrayal of all of these syndicates, and now he wants revenge. And it's not even that he wants revenge for petty reasons. Like, it is, but also, like, he's setting himself up in the process, where, like, he felt betrayed, he wants recompense for that, but also, like, he is now putting the pieces in place. Like, he could have wiped the Pikes off the face of the earth. He very much could have. He killed their leader, but he understands the importance of their role and would rather them swear fealty to him so that he can then lead them and then have his own organization to run again. And I think that's, like, what Maul's always done. Like, after he got betrayed by Palpatine, he has just had to continue going and pull himself together. And again, he doesn't support the Sith. He doesn't support the Jedi. He is a Force user who has nefarious intentions, but it is his own.
And that's why I don't think he has a hate for Jedi. I don't think he even has a... Like, he just doesn't like the Jedi Order. But he doesn't have a hate for other Force users, especially at this point, which is why we see him have that conversation. That's why we see him have the conversation with her. That's why we have the whole fight scene in the dark. It's because of that. And it's interesting because, obviously, Maul doesn't have a lot of connection. He can't.
Yeah.
It's just who he is. The only connection he had is now gone, and that was Savage Opress. That was it. The one person who he could care for, the one person he did care for. And that's what makes it so interesting with his character. And then, you know, obviously I like what they're doing with the captain. You already mentioned, like, I like the humanizing of, you know, he's going to this game of his kids and whatever. I like the way they kind of bring Daki and the captain together. I got a chuckle out of me at the end of the fourth episode when the Empire showed up, because they make it like this big dramatic reveal. Like, we're not going to know that the Empire's showing up at some point in this. And so when it's like, oh, I would like to apologize, and I hope you can forgive me. Brother, we knew you were calling the Empire from the first second that you said we should call the Empire. Of course you're doing that.
But I don't view that as a twist. I think it's, again, it adds another wrinkle that is, like, is our captain, is he gonna get locked up? Is he gonna get in trouble for this? He has actively been denying the chain of command, knowingly, and Two Boots called them, and maybe Two Boots tried to spin it in a way when he called them, but also, like, I love Two Boots as a character. What, like, screw him for calling the Empire, obviously, but at the same time, like, he is a droid who was programmed to do something, and he does it. And that's the way it works. He is a droid first. Like, that's the fun thing about droids. Is like you can be friends with them. They can be your homie, but like at the end of the day, like they are a machine programmed to do a job. And Two
Yeah.
Boots is just he has no morals, no ethics, no nothing. He just has programs to do what he is told.
Well, and it's really funny because I thought about this. What is the Empire going to do? Like I know that there's probably a logical answer we can come to and we can deduct. I haven't even thought or predicted about what
they're going to send Inquisitors.
Obviously,
probably.
Inquisitors.
I would assume probably just send Inquisitors.
I wouldn't be surprised if Vader shows up.
I hope not.
I'm
hope just saying I hope not.
I wouldn't be surprised. This is not out of his element to get.
I feel like the thing is, Vader goes in for very specific missions, and I feel like the Inquisitors, I mean, we've already gotten a mention of the Inquisitors, not by the name Inquisitors, but Maul does mention to Devin about the people who hunt down Jedi, insinuating the Inquisitors, and so I would not be surprised that that was probably a slight nod to what is on that Star Destroyer when it comes over the city. There's probably going to be at least 2 Inquisitors on that ship. They're going to come down and probably try to stop Maul and get in a tussle with our two Jedi friends.
Well, and honestly, they're going to obviously die. I think that's going to be the dark ending of this. Is I think both of them will probably end up dying.
I hope not, honestly, but that would be a pretty baller move.
It'll probably be at the hands of the Grand Inquisitor. Because we haven't technically seen the Grand Inquisitor in animation, obviously, since Rebels, because obviously he dies at the end of season 1. But we also saw him. We know he's around during this time because we saw him in the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series in live action. So in canon, he would be around. He would be hunting Jedi, but I also don't think he would have had his Inquisitor apprentices yet. I think Grand Inquisitor would have been the only one at this time.
No, I think there's probably more than one, because I think when Maul is having the conversation, he insinuates that there's more than one.
Oh, okay.
But your comment about them sending the Grand Inquisitor, I think, is interesting because, not every Jedi warrants the Grand Inquisitor. But, this is Darth Maul that we're talking about. Technically not Darth Maul anymore, but he was a Darth at one period in time. He is a different echelon. That's like saying, oh, we're going to send an Inquisitor to go get Luke fucking Skywalker type of thing. You're going to send someone who can lock this down, and I think that being the Grand Inquisitor would actually kind of make some thematic sense.
Well, and here's the reason why I thought Vader probably could get involved. And call me crazy. And again, I wouldn't necessarily like it. I would still prefer it to be the Grand Inquisitor. Maybe that's why this is the reason why they send him. I just see it as a reason for why Vader also would want to be there, or the Emperor would want to send Vader, because Maul knows who Vader is. I don't think that's going to be any question. I think Maul could easily figure out that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. Anybody who knows that is going to be on Vader's hit list. Probably more so than the Emperor's. But the Emperor specifically would want Maul dead because he's a previous Darth. He wants Maul eliminated. He didn't eliminate him the first time. Now you need to kill him and get rid of him. So I think there's plenty of valid reasons for both cases. I think if Vader wanted to send the Grand Inquisitor, he could come after him. Or Vader himself could come out of hiding to try to take on Maul. And I don't know if he would fail necessarily because...
Well, I think that's the reason why I don't want it to be Darth Vader, is because we know that Maul makes it out alive of this show, and Darth Vader not being able to take out Darth Maul, I don't like that at all. Darth Vader at this point in time is peak terrifying, killing everyone in his path Darth Vader.
Right.
He is not someone who is going to fail at taking down Maul, but an Inquisitor, and even the Grand Inquisitor to a degree, even though we know he'll still be alive afterward,
can still
would be someone who I could see failing the quest to kill Maul.
Well, and again, Vader, I guess, could fail. Again, the interesting thing is, the only reason I'm even having this conversation is because something like Obi-Wan Kenobi, which, let's admit, not a great show. The final episode, though, is incredible as far as the Vader Obi-Wan stuff. Actually, anything Vader Obi-Wan in the Kenobi show is really good. Obviously, that's the crux of the show. That's the whole point of it. is Vader's hunting after Obi-Wan, and it's kind of Obi-Wan realizing, oh, my friend's really gone. But we both knew going into that fight, both of them are making it out of it. So how does this end? How does this continue? You know, it's just interesting. Look, overall, Maul this week was just like one of those things where it's like, it's good. There's nothing that's like, this is phenomenal, but I love the way you described it when you said this is a very lived-in world. This is a very understood world, and this is very Star Wars feeling. And I love the feeling of the show because I love the seedy underbelly criminal aspect of Star Wars.
It's
why I'm continuing to be excited. Sorry.
That's why, like, I really am happy that we're getting shows like this. Because, like, yes, I get it. We haven't gotten a Star Wars movie in forever, and people are complaining about, like, oh, I don't want to see Star Wars become a TV show series. Like, I understand that, and I would love everything to be a movie, but, like, you couldn't tell this story as a movie. I really don't think so. And so the fact that we can get it in a TV show, and also specifically like an animated one, with the still continuing to be the best animation style we've ever gotten. Like, again, those lightsaber fights looked so freaking good. Oh my god. And like, if we do get the Grand Inquisitor, or even Inquisitors in general, coming to fight Maul, we're gearing up for some of the best lightsaber fights we've ever gotten. Because, like, again, I still hold, like, Maul is one of the best at lightsaber combat that we have ever seen. So
yes, I agree. But overall,
but yeah, overall, is it the best thing we're watching? No, but like, not. It's really good, and I think people are probably overlooking it or discounting it because, oh, it's another Star Wars animated show, but like, the Star Wars animated shows are still pretty dang good.
There's a lot more to it, right?
Like, we know that this is ending after 8 episodes. It's ending on May the 4th, and we're not going to get a season 2 because, again, we know where Maul goes. This is like watching Rogue One and being like, are we going to see Jyn Erso again? The only way you're going to see her is a prequel, but also, like, Jyn Erso, you see her as a kid, and then, there's not much story to tell there. Right. With Maul, though, like, you literally know from the beginning to the end of Maul already. We're just filling in kind of that last puzzle piece, and as much as you could argue we didn't need to, I freaking like that we're getting it, because it's cool and interesting, and I love Maul as a character. Maul is easily top 10. I don't know if top 5, because, like, that's you got Darth Vader, you got Count Dooku, but, like, Maul is up there in terms of, like, dope-ass characters, and...
yeah, he is.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the thoughts on Maul. I'm liking it.
Good. Because we got 2 more weeks of it.
Correct.
Invincible. Go ahead and start.
What episode is this? Episode 7 of season 4?
7 of 8.
Yeah. Invincible season 4, episode 7. It fucking rocks. It rocks so hard. I have very few complaints, and honestly, the only complaints I do have are the same complaints I've had with the other episodes. I wish some of the animation was better. I do. Yes, the scenes of Viltrum being destroyed and certain moments, like the literal impact frames with Thrag, are amazing. But if you're sitting here and telling me that all of the animated fights are good, you're lying to yourself and you're huffing copium. But if the only thing I have to complain about is subpar animation, then I'm fine with that. Because, like, there have been people saying, oh, Thrag's a fraud. Oh, Thrag's a fraud. Brother, Thrag is terrifying. And honestly, more terrifying than I thought he was going to be. Like, he punches Nolan on and off a planet, not even using he wind bends. He's an airbender. Like, Thrag is terrifying. Everything about this episode, the dialogue, the conversations, like, it is so unbelievable, like, non-stop. Like, I even like the conversations that we're having on the ship before we get into the battle, talking about What do you want to eat when we get done with this? Like, just having those conversations like people admitting that they're scared going into this. I love those things. The calm before the storm elements. Also seeing Thrag taking the throne. We got to see the betrayal happen. We got to see that. We also got to see the great purge of the Viltrumites. All of that stuff. Already I was like, this is the best episode of the season. And then you give us the destruction of Viltrum. And then you get the Thrag killing the betrayer. And also almost killing Nolan and Oliver and Mark. And all of these different elements coming together. It worked so good. Like, I'm like, this is the best episode of the season so far. This is easily top 3 of Invincible as a whole. Like, the only thing holding it back from being number 1 really is just the animation for me, because the storytelling elements of everything finally coming together, and then that realization of the end of, like, Mark wakes up, like, 4 days later, and it's like, oh, what happened to Thrag? They disappeared. Oh shit, they're going to Earth. Like, all of that stuff, like, it's got me so hyped to see what happens next. And, like, God, it's just everything finally coming together in the biggest way possible. I have no notes, basically. Like, it's really the best thing I could have asked for.
This is peak television. Like, this is a peak episode of television. I agree with you on your complaints. I'm not even really going to have quick thoughts here because they're pretty much the exact same thing. The only thing I will comment on is, you said you think yes, I think it is one of the best in the series. The only reason I think it's going to be lower on that totem pole for me is purely because this episode cannot exist without the rest of season 4. Yes, you could say that about the rest of the show, but even still, the episode with Conquest and that episode with Omni-Man in seasons 1 and 3, you can't compare this to that, even though this is so good. And this is up there. I would say this is at least top 5 for me. I don't know what I would rank above it, but I feel like there is other episodes in Invincible as a series where I'm like, I can't in good conscience rank this above that. But this is phenomenal. This is outstanding, just incredible animation, television, whatever you want to call it. Dad, how do we stop him? It was the subtle look. It was the look in saying, Mark, before he gets cut in half, and you're like, you can't stop him. You can't stop Thrag. You can just delay the inevitable. And it's like, he's terrifying because we did, like you said, we didn't know how much of a threat this is going to be. And as somebody who hasn't read the comics, my God, we are so screwed. Eve, get ready for war, man. Like, this is horrifying. He cut through Omni-Man like butter. Like he was nothing.
Yeah, he did.
This is, like, I don't know even what to it's also like, I love the reaction after, obviously Omni-Man ends up being alive. I thought they were killing him there, just based on the tone they were setting, which I would have been fine with. But I thought they like, he was dead. I'm glad he's alive because we'll get more of him. I love that Mark immediately hugs his dad, just like he does care for his dad. Like, I think that's the first time he's actually shown since everything that happened that he does care for his dad. Since that everything has happened, he and his dad they're slowly getting better and they're building that relationship again, which I love, which I like. Thaddeus is dead.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything first before I just go on like a whole thing of just like, here's what happened. This is peak. Like,
I mean, I don't even know, like,
it's hard
Thaddeus
to talk
is
about
dead,
something. Right?
And I think it makes total sense because here's the main thing. I also thought they were killing Nolan, and at first I was a little upset that they didn't. But it is one of those things where it's like, you can call Thrag a chicken or a pussy for not killing them all you want, but his logic has always been consistent. Like, Thrag is immature, but he only cares about Viltrum and keeping Viltrum alive. He ripped Oliver to shreds. Like, I don't think he thought that he was leaving Oliver alive.
No. He didn't rip him. He bitch slapped his ass.
Yeah, he took his jaw and his arm off. And I don't think I think he thought he killed him. And the reason why is because he literally told Oliver, "You are not a Viltrumite. Like, you are a mistake. You never should have happened," type of thing. But he knows Omnivan is one of the very few true-blooded out of the 50 Viltrumites remaining. And Mark is the best, like, the best mesh of Viltrumite blood with another species blood, which is one of the main reasons Thrag is going to Earth, because that was the whole mission. And now with Viltrum destroyed, they need a new home, and the only home that they know that can basically they can make work is Earth. Now, I really hope next episode, I don't know if this is gonna happen, Cecil's reaction to seeing 50 Viltrumites show up to Earth, is he just gonna die of a heart attack? Like, he has that whole comment at the end of episode 6 of, like, finally, for the first time in, like, 50 years or whatever, Earth is Viltrumite free. Yeah, unfortunately, Cecil, you're about to have the opposite problem. You're gonna have the most Viltrumites Earth has ever seen.
Cecil's going to be staring down some sort of Viltrumite in person. It's going to, like, just POV the Green Goblin reaction before he gets impaled by his glider. Oh. Just absolutely realizing, oh, there's 50 of them. What do we do?
Yeah, because Thrag is strong. I mean, again, he killed Thaddeus like it was nothing. He ripped his head off like he was opening a bottle of soda. It was crazy. And we saw how strong Thaddeus is. He was going toe for toe with every Viltrumite, multiple Viltrumites at once.
Now, here's what I will say, and this is the interesting thing. I don't know when we're going to see Thrag again. Obviously not for the rest of the season. We're not going to see him again. There's a chance we might not even see him until the end of next season. Because here's what I think we're going to have to remember. There's a ton of storylines and plot lines that are still going on right now. Obviously, Eve being pregnant, who we haven't even seen in a couple episodes. Obviously, Rex and Monster Girl being trapped in the alien dimension. There's a bunch of things we still have to get wrapped up that we haven't even gotten to yet. Before I feel like we can get to what is going to be the end big fight of the show, which is Mark versus Viltrum, or maybe something else. But the Viltrumites are going to be one of the biggest plot lines here. I think that there's a strong chance I think they're going to need time to rebuild. All the Viltrumites who did, like the 50 that were there, did get their asses handed to them. I think they're going to need time to recover. And I think we might have enough time before they come to Earth, which is why I don't think it's going to be immediate. I think they're going to come back to Earth. Everything's going to be fine. But that they're all going to be, both sides are going to be preparing for war, basically.
I don't know. I have a feeling that they're gonna just book it for Earth, and unfortunately, they're gonna beat our heroes back, and it's going to be a problem. Like, I'm not saying you could be wrong, because, again, you brought up a very good point of we have the Monster Girl storyline, we have the Damien Darkblood storyline, we have these storylines that need to be wrapped up, and would feel weird to shove into the middle of the Viltrumite war on Earth. So there is a chance. I do think, though, that we're going to see Thrag again, and it's going to be on the next episode. I just don't know where that leads.
Again, but I don't think it's going to be, like, building to anything in season 4, like, until, like, the end again. Like, we didn't see Thrag until this very episode this season, or maybe we saw him earlier.
We saw him once in episode 5 at, like, the very, very end. Then we saw him when they were invading the Rebel base on episode 6, and then episode 7, obviously he's, like, in the entire episode.
But I think they're gonna have to come up with ideas of, like, okay, how are we gonna fight? How are we gonna get this? Like, both sides are gonna have to prepare. I don't think it's gonna, like, we might see him next episode, but I think it's gonna be like a post-credit scene type of thing where it's like, okay, we're building towards a big thing in season 5 with the Viltrumites in that.
I mean, it's a real question of how the hell do we defeat Thrag? Nolan stood 0 chance. No offense, Mark is weaker than his dad. Oliver is weaker than both of them. Alan stands no chance against Thrag. Literally the only thing that could take him down in this current state, and I don't see them going with this, is Space Racer's laser, which is what destroys Viltrum. It's the only thing, because it literally, that's the entire point of it. It's kind of like the MacGuffin gun. It will destroy anything, including Thrag, but they're not going to just kill Thrag with Space Racer's gun. Like, I highly, highly doubt that. So
Eve, obviously, I think there's a chance Eve probably could. I
there's
think
a chance, yeah,
I
for
think there's a
sure.
chance that Eve probably could.
Well, because
Um,
again, like I think my big theory is like the pregnancy is what's messing with her powers, and we have to remember they've been off Earth for months. Like there's a chance that Eve, I don't know exactly how long it's going to take them to get back to Earth. There's a chance that Eve could pop before they get back or soon after they get back. So like if
it would
she
be really
does though, that means
funny.
that she could get her powers back.
I think it would be really funny if they come back, if they draw down enough to where they come back and Eve's had the kid. It's like, oh, by the way, Mark, here's your son. Uh,
Yeah,
sorry,
exactly.
you've been gone for a
Exactly.
hot second. Here's your son. Um, I also, it would be a dark twist, and obviously, as somebody who hates this subject matter, I think it would be an interesting play if they come back and she had the baby aborted in some way,
I highly doubt
which
that.
would
I
create
highly
more.
doubt
I
that.
highly doubt it, but I think that there would be a very interesting conflict for Mark to have with Eve in that regard, at the very least.
I just don't see Eve as the type of person to do that without
I
talking to
I
Mark.
don't. I'm just
That's
saying
why
that
I just
there
couldn't see that being
there is an idea, and honestly, the reason I'm even having that thought is because as months and months go by, without anybody to talk to, you kind of got to make the decision on your own after a certain point because you don't know if he's coming back. She doesn't know if he's coming back at this point.
true. Again, like Mark has was healing on the planet for 2 months. That doesn't include travel time of the battle. It took him like 10 days to get to Viltrum, I think was the comment of like from the base to Viltrum. It took him like 10 days. Getting back to Earth is probably going to take like another month. Like we're talking about like it's 9 months on average for a pregnancy. If not, if we haven't been gone for 9 months, by the time we get back, it'll be at least third trimester probably.
Right.
So if she still has the baby, but I don't think they're gonna go down that route. I could be wrong, but I think like there is a chance that it could be like what's the answer to take them down? Like I guess Mark has Viltrumite DNA in him. Also, Eve is like the strongest superhero. So
Right.
while the baby wouldn't be full Viltrumite, it would still be part Viltrumite with the basically the strongest mom in the world.
Correct.
So like the only reason she isn't the strongest character is because the limiter that was basically programmed into her that she can't control organic matter. But if she can control organic matter, she is the strongest. She could basically reconstitute Thrag into a puddle of jizz. Like she can do whatever she
It
wants.
would be really funny if she did.
So so yeah.
Um, yeah, there's that. Look, it's really hard to talk about this episode specifically because
I
of
don't
how
think
much.
so, because so much happened.
One of them, because like I want there to be like a back and forth between stuff like, oh, this was good, this wasn't. There, all of it was good.
I mean, yeah, like again, my only complaint is the animation, and even then, they stepped it up when it counted in this moment. Like when Viltrum got destroyed, it looked really good. Freaking Thrag had the devil of impact frames, like it was crazy. And I think again, like Thrag trying to like all the dialogue in this episode was so good. I mean,
Right.
showing Thrag having the conversation with Thetis on the planet in the flashback where they're talking
Yes.
about starting to see the hints of Thetis be like, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't massacre everyone." And then
Bruh.
like and then assassinating the emperor and then Thrag wanting revenge and like all of that back and forth dialogue was so good, and then going into the modern age and having everyone fearful of the battle. Also, like dude, one of my favorite moments was when Space Razor pulled up with all those aliens on the back. I was sitting down, I stood up and I was like, yeah, like it was just so badass.
My
Like
God. Well, it's also like,
and those
my
things took out
God,
like
dude.
3 Viltrumites nearly. Like they were ripping them to shreds.
That's why I'm like, oh, that could still be an answer. Those creatures could play parts. I think another one that could actually play a part in a war, they just have to find because they still haven't found him, is Battle Beast. Battle Beast could easily still play a part in taking
So
apart.
you didn't watch the part where Battle Beast was a main character in this episode?
I'm retarded. I'm actually the dumbest human being on earth. What the heck, man? Okay, never mind. Forget what I just said. How can I? Last episode, I forget something.
Last episode, you forgot like 90% of the plot. Today, you forgot a main character of this episode being Battle Beast.
To be fair, last episode was very fair. This episode, I don't know how it was fair. Never mind. Just continue. I'm disappointed in myself.
Yeah, Battle Beast, he tried to fight Thrag and immediately almost died. So unfortunately for us, Battle Beast, he is, yeah, not going to be very helpful. He can hold his own against the Viltrumites. No one can hold their own against Thrag. It was specifically mentioned, and this was the first time that it was mentioned, that Thrag was specifically bred and trained to be the strongest Viltrumite in history. And the Viltrumites are already some of the strongest beings in the verse.
Right.
So he is the strongest of the strongest. Like,
right.
Again, he pulled his fist back and the wind moved around it. He punched Nolan off and on the planet.
The way Superman launches himself at supersonic speed, breaking the sound barrier, that was his punch.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like
all of it. Like, I mean, that was a light punch from Thrag.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the whole dialogue of like, Omni-Man could not beat Superman in a fight. That's pretty acceptable. Superman has some crazy feats. And I'm not saying that Thrag could beat Superman, but like, I would pay to see the fight between Thrag and Superman. Like, their fight, I think, would be, like, pretty interesting, especially since, like, Superman's not gonna kill Thrag, but Thrag would absolutely kill Superman. So, again, we're never gonna get it, but, like, the whole conversation of, like, oh, Omni-Man can't beat Superman, but, like, Thrag used Nolan like he was a action figure.
Yes.
Like, again, like, the only reason he didn't rip Nolan's head off was because he literally said, oh, I was too quick with that. Like, I was too quick with him.
Right.
I want to make this hurt. And then throughout the course of the battle, he was fully intending to kill Nolan. And then he has the realization staring at Mark of, like, oh, no, you just destroyed my planet. There's like, after this battle, there were 50 of them left. Now I think only about 3 died. But now that number's going down. And that was also, mind you, 50 before the war started. And we already know that multiple Viltrumites died during the war. We could easily be sub 30 right now of Viltrumites remaining. We can't thin the herd if he's wanting to force them to breed, like, force Nolan to make more.
Right.
Like,
I also think that the reason I don't think Thrag's going to go right away is because Cecil has to have some sort of comeuppance for this conquest thing. Because obviously we weren't going to get that until after Mark returns to Earth. My God, dude, we already talked about this. And even more knowing now of like where Thrag is at, everything he knows, everything that has happened so far. Come on, man. Cecil is going to get his butt shoot out.
Rip Cecil. Mark. Well, because that's the other thing. Like, we had the moment where Mark is like yelling at Thrag, and Thrag is essentially like, what do you think you're gonna do against me? Like, you can't do anything. And he's like, I killed Conquest. And there's the moment where we cut to like the shots of all the different Viltrumites, and like they're impressed because like Conquest, he's not Thrag, but he's also not like an Anissa, who's like the female Viltrumite, like who's strong, but like Conquest is like probably of the remaining Viltrumites top 3.
Whereas Thrag was bred and trained to be the best Viltrumite, Conquest was the most natural and just wasn't bred for it, but was the most naturally strong Viltrumite.
He's also probably was the oldest Viltrumite, I believe, because Conquest was there as like an adult for basically the entire, like he was just always there. And yes, like Thrag is old, but like Viltrumites age slower as they get older. So for
Right.
a Viltrumite to look old, like Conquest does, which granted some of that's battle scars and things like that, but like Conquest still is old. That means he's probably older than Thrag, which does mean he is still really freaking strong. Because
Right.
also, older Viltrumites are typically stronger Viltrumites to a point.
Right. I agree. Um, God, dude, this next episode is gonna be one of two things. It's either gonna be a nice rebuilding episode before season 4, or it's gonna be chaos of
I
Thrag
do think that
destroying.
I do think we probably peaked with this episode.
I think. I don't think. Yeah.
I don't think we can get much crazier out of this than we just got. If we did, that's insane. I do think this will be like, I think there will still be some big insane moments, but I do think for the most part it will still be like a come down, not rebuild, but like we need to strategize. We're trying to get to Earth as fast as possible. How can we prepare if they beat Thrag there? Preparing everyone if they don't beat Thrag there. What do they do? Type of situation.
I agree.
I do have a.
Thrag.
Oh,
Sorry, go ahead.
you go first. No, you go first.
No. I was just gonna re-emphasize what you said, so I really don't have anything to add. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna ask, like, I guess Guess we haven't seen the last episode yet, but like, we were saying literally last week that season 4 is probably the worst season. It's really hard now because, like, yeah, we've had the lowest lows, but we also literally just both universally agreed that this episode of Invincible is easily top 3, and the other 2 is the episode with Omni-Man, the season 1 finale, which is, I'd still probably say, the best episode, and then the Conquest versus Mark fight, which ended off season 3.
Yeah, I mean, it could be season 2. I need to rewatch the entire show to fully, I think, decide which one. I would still probably say season 4 right now. It depends on where season or episode 8 ends up for me here.
Yeah.
Because if that does pretty good, it'll probably go. I'll go back to saying what I even said after season 3, where season 2 is probably the worst season. Nothing's touching season 1.
Oh yeah.
I think that's just hard to compare.
Well, I'd say season 3 came close. It's definitely the closest to getting to season 1 status, but I think that it's like, if episode 8 of Invincible is as good as episode 6 was, which was a good episode, it just was nowhere near episode 7, I would say it probably is better than season 2, but would still say it had the lowest lows. And I think it just comes down really to consistency, where I think season 2 was consistently mid. Season 4 started out pretty mid with some good moments, and then also has some incredible highs, and I think that was what would give it the edge above season 2, but I still don't think it's beating season 1 or season 3 for me personally.
It does really just depend. It really does just depend on how this final episode goes for me. That'll determine that. But as far as episode 7 goes, I mean, there's nothing more to say about that episode than just this one word that encapsulates it. Peak television.
That's 2 words.
So good. Okay, well, peak. How about that? You jackass peak.
This episode was, I literally, like, that's the thing, is like, the big thing with this Invincible is like, my problem with the other episodes isn't that not like every episode didn't have insane bombastic blowing up planet moments. Like, that's not the only thing that makes this episode so good. It's every moment of dialogue being so well written, and all the, like, the whole story finally coming together, and seeing Thrag as taking over the Emperor position, and seeing everyone scared before the battle, and essentially almost saying their final goodbyes, sort of, and all of that kind of coming together. And it was just, all of the slow moments hit really well, and all of the big moments hit very well. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, the action was really good, but I was bored leading into it. I was like, no, from the second the episode started, through every moment of all the dialogue and everything, I was locked in.
Yeah. I agree.
You ready to get into our last one?
Speaking of things that are, give me your thoughts on the Boys season 5 episode 3. Give me your thoughts.
The Boys season 5 episode 3 isn't a bad episode of television. It's just not great. And I think the reason why is because I really feel like they're kind of assassinating certain characters. I feel like we've had too much of like a. It's the same issue that the Stranger Things finale ran into, where they had too big of a time gap, where too much character development happened off screen, where like I just don't feel I don't feel vindicated or feel like anything feels like. Kimiko is obviously the biggest example of that. You went from having her talk like a chronically online teenager with TikTok to now talking like a porn addict. That's so bad. That's so. I hated the TikTok comment. I hate the porn one even more. Like this was not an improvement. It was a detraction from an already detraction from one of my favorite characters in The Boys. Like Kimiko is such a bad character this season. Everything they're doing with her, even the whole thing about like the whole wanting to have kids thing makes sense, but like that whole dialogue and relationship, like they just got together and now you're having them essentially be like, we're not compatible anymore. It's like, what the hell are you doing with that like whole thing? V1, I was wrong. I think I mentioned last episode that the Omni-Man had V1 in it, or Homelander had V1 in his system. I was wrong. Homelander does not have V1 in his system. I thought he did, which does mean Marie Moreau does not have V1 in her system either. They specifically mentioned the only characters that do, and Homelander is not one of them. So the whole quest that we're going on is we got confirmation that the disease does not work on V1 because of whatever scientific BS that they explained. Which I think is good. I think that's interesting. I think it makes sense that it doesn't affect V1. The whole point of V1 is that it essentially makes you immortal. And now Homelander wants the V1 to become immortal, and our main batch of heroes with the boys want to find the V1 to re-engineer the disease to work against V1, and also maybe to give it to Kimiko and Starlight as well to keep them around. I think that stuff's interesting, but also like the stuff you're doing with Starlight. Like Starlight also feels like such a big jump from where they were at. Where like I get that there was some of that in season 4, but like she was pissed the fuck off at Huey constantly for everything he did in season 3. And now she's doing the same thing but worse, arguably, and has no remorse about it and is just repeating what Huey did to her to Huey. And I hate it. And I don't think it makes sense. And so I'm walking away with this episode of The Boys, and even like the first 3 episodes of season 5 of The Boys, not saying it's the worst finale ever, but like it really does feel like they just didn't know what they were doing, and they're kind of character assassinating left and right and shoehorning in certain plot lines. Like Stan Edgar coming back is fine. I think that makes sense. Obviously, we knew he was still alive with Gen V, and we got another mention of Marie Moreau, who very obviously has to play a role now. Like you're not going to name drop her like that and not have her play a role, but like everything just feels so messy, and all the I already really like The Boys, but I'm not as high on it as many. And season 5 is really just not doing it for me. It isn't.
Yeah, I agree with you a little bit on the Kimiko part, because I think that they're committing character assassination from the jokes that don't need to be there. Everything else this episode did was incredible. Everything that this episode sets up for the rest of the season, as far as tone and just where they're leading these characters, it actually, in my mind, makes a logical sense. There is one focused goal. Everybody is focusing on that goal. I love what they're doing with Huey and Annie. I think that it's a great contrast from where they were, like you said, in season 3. I think that's why they're doing it, is to show the contrast of how far she's come and how far he's come, and how they're kind of like 2 passing ships in the night as far as character development goes. They had this, they started here and now they ended here. and they're both where they kind of wanted them both to be, but now they're both on opposite sides of it. It's very interesting. I think what they're doing with Stan Edgar and how they brought him back into the fold works. Mother's Milk, he isn't getting much development yet, but I know why. It's because his character's already developed and he's very realized in the world he lives in. They know what they're doing with him. So it's just a matter of when are they going to have him go up against Soldier Boy. I think is really what they're kind of putting on track for him at this point. This is, as far as episodes go, Homelander's most insane in a while. And I say insane, but very specifically because we are seeing the madness and the descent of Homelander this episode. We are seeing Anthony Starr take this character and watching this character go insane. I'm going to be immortal because I was told this. He believes it. He sees visions of it from the person that he used to basically get breastfed from. You know, we are seeing this guy go so insane to the point to where I will kill my only son. The one person that's pretty much started the last reminder for Butcher, and this is what's so good about Butcher's character in this episode, the last reminder of what started this whole conflict, which was Homelander basically taking Butcher's wife. And watching Butcher at the end of this episode come face to face with Ryan's corpse is heartbreaking. Because whereas Ryan was not Butcher's kid, and I don't think in any sense of the word he really ever treated him like he's his kid, you could tell on him like that was like it kind of even shocked him to a core of like, God.
He's not dead though.
I think he's dead.
He's not. He moves in the episode.
When does he move?
Watch the episode back. He moves.
I swear he doesn't move, but I believe you. I believe you if he moves. Thank God he's not dead then. Because that leads to a separate... Now my mind's racing in a bunch of different directions if he's not dead. Okay. It's more so of, I told you so. You can't go up against him without us. We need the V. We got a plan to stop this. Okay. Then let me rephrase that. I still agree with what I'm saying. I still 100% believe on what I'm saying, but it changes the inflection of Butcher's character. Butcher's character still has some really strong moments in this, especially with Ryan and whatnot. Where honestly, cards are kind of just on the table for him. Like, he is dishonest about it. Like, oh, yeah, you're strong enough to stop him on your own. Obviously, that's not true. And he lied about that, but he full cards on the table. I'm not your dad. I'm not trying to be. I need you to sacrifice your life so that we can use this V to kill Homelander. It's just interesting. I'll stop talking about it because I know that we're just going on and on. I don't see. Granted, I'm also a big fan of this show. I told you from the beginning that I was a lot bigger of a fan than you. I don't see where you're coming from. I think that this episode's incredible. I don't think it's as good as episode 1 of this season, but it's very good, and it's very good at continuing the story that we're on, which is leading to something, especially from Homelander's perspective, of just absolute balls to the walls insanity, and I love it.
Well, again, like, my biggest problem is I really feel like my biggest problem with the boys in general is no character has development unless it's in a circle. And I hate that. I really do. And I think one of those characters, I mean, obviously Kamiko I have my own problems with, and I think everyone does. But like Ryan, that's another one where I guess it's technically not a circle, but it's like, how do you explain Ryan going from where we see him at the end of season 4, where he accidentally kills Mallory and was destroyed by it and hated that he did it, to slaughtering dozens of Russians, or not dozens, but like a dozen Russians without remorse, just because they found where he is? That's not Ryan's character at all. I don't think that makes sense.
Let's start with this, because I like that they did that, because Ryan also asked the question, and honestly, it furthers my point now that you say if he did move and he is alive, it's going to further this. Ryan asks Butcher a very important question in this episode. Am I going to be like my dad? And we know that why he's asking that question, because he is doing all these things. We saw him do this in Russia. Whatever. We do see that through the sick, twisted, fucked up life that he has had that in a lot of ways he is becoming like his dad, except in one aspect. He still has enough morality left in him to ask the question, am I becoming like my dad? Have I gone too far? Obviously, Butcher doesn't fully know the extent of what he's done since season 4 ended, but that's gonna be Ryan's arc, is am I becoming like my dad? And if he's still alive, we still have plenty of time to, figure that out. We still have time to see that to completion. You're also forgetting this is episode 3 of an 8-episode season. We still have so much time left to see some of these arcs to completion, and Ryan's for sure is one of those.
I'm just saying my biggest problem is it feels like a jump. It feels like at the end of season 4, Ryan accidentally killed Mallory and hated it. He didn't want to do that. And his whole thing was he didn't want to become his father. And now he's slaughtering people with no remorse. I don't think that makes sense. Again, it's the same thing with Starlight, of like Starlight's whole thing. The entire antithesis of season 3, the agreed upon best season of The Boys, other than season 1 by some, is Huey is doing really bad things for the greater good, and Starlight hates that, and she's entire character arc is start to finish, I want to do this the right way. I'm so sick and tired of people saying we need to do the wrong thing in order to win. Now, complete 180 between seasons. Mind you, we didn't even see this. This happened between seasons of Starlight going, oh, well, I'm just going to kill everyone now, including myself, and that's okay, and Huey having a problem with that is stupid, and I'm just going to kiss him anytime he brings it up so that I can get out of the argument, because I don't want to have this conversation. It destroys her character. It completely backtracks everything they built for her. And not in a way that, like, oh, that makes sense. It all happened off screen. It really did, in my opinion.
I disagree with that, because in her arc, and I don't know where we're going to see the end for this one, but the arc that they're clearly setting up and the arc that they've had for her this entire time is, yes, that's the thought process she has had since pretty much season 1. And we've seen her go through changes in season 1, season 2, season 3. We've seen changes. We've seen things that have happened, but that's always been her through line. I'm not doing the wrong thing to do the right way. I'm only doing the right way to get the right way. Because that's her character. At the end of season 4, everybody becomes so desperate. And even the beginning of season 5, we see where she starts, what she's kind of had to do to survive in this new regime of Homelander's world, that her whole ideology is now flipped because she finally grasps in her own mind that this is the correct way. Huey, on the other hand, and this just because I know you're probably going to talk about his character next, because you were talking about Starlight first. Like I said, 2 passing trains in the night. We've seen Huey doing the wrong things because he's been under Butcher's wing for so long. He but he was
like indoctrinated under Butcher.
Indoctrinated under Butcher. That's the thing that he knows. And in Huey's mind, in his world, all he saw the entire time, and yes, he's had growth and he's had things that come up, is revenge. Because he discovered after a superhero, somebody who is a beloved superhero, run through a person that he loved. All he has seen since then are reasons to agree with Butcher or side with Butcher. Until recently, obviously, because Butcher's gone off the rails his own self. But that's all he's ever known. Annie was the only thing that was pulling him closer to doing the right thing the right way, if that makes sense.
I get it.
It's like the notion that, and this is a Girl Meets World, Boy Meets World reference, by the way. People change people. The group and circle that you hang around is the person that you're most likely going to reflect. Annie and Huey hang around each other a lot of the time, and they both rub off on each other. So much so that now Huey is in the mindset of doing the right thing for the right way. That's why he talks to Translucent Sun. That's why he wants to make kind of amends or peace with that situation and help him.
But that arc already completed for Huey. That's the thing. Like, if they moved Huey being like evil, like doing the wrong thing, siding with Butcher a lot more from season 3 to season 4, and all of that happened in season 4, and they switched between season 4 and season 5, I could find that very interesting. But we didn't get that. We got Huey doing all of that in season 3, and then we got Annie still trying to do everything the right way in season 4. And I understand people are going to make the argument that in season 4, that's what broke her. She saw, and we did. I mean, she went and punched Firecracker. I get that. It still feels like the extremeness of the ideology. I just wish I would have seen more of that logical progression. Because again, like she's literally right now exactly where Huey was at for the most part in season 3, and she hated that. And now she's not even understanding Huey's point of view. And I get it. People are going to say, "Oh, that's just great character development." I don't like it. I don't think it's great.
Right. And obviously it's subjective. I'm not saying these things to convince you. I'm just pointing out what I believe and what I see. And that's how I believe it. And yes, it's what a lot of people are going to say about the show, because a lot of people love this show and they can see it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's the thing. And I can't really change about that. But as far as all the character development that happens in this show from start to finish, with the exception of one character who I feel like doesn't really have as much development as much as they're kind of just always there, but they've had like one through line since the beginning of the show, which I'll get into that in a second. I think Huey and Annie have a fantastic set of character arcs with them. I think Butcher, even though you don't really like it, I think he is starting to have like get to that point, because whereas Annie and Huey are like this, Homelander and Butcher are kind of like this.
Yeah, no. I was literally thinking that when watching this episode, and specifically when he was having the conversation with Ryan in the diner, I literally thought to myself, is Butcher worse than Homelander? And then I was like, no, Butcher, morally speaking, is probably along the lines, but in terms of like actions, like Homelander's body count in terms of like kills and stuff like that is like way higher than Butcher's is. But like from a morality standpoint, and like Butcher is talking about genocide. And yes, Homelander is also now considering genocide, but like Butcher's whole thing from the beginning has been genocide. Homelander has always wanted to be loved, and now he's starting to be more and more corrupted. And there was that whole line of dialogue where it was like, go kill everyone, just kill them. And the people who are remaining will be the people that worship you. I love that, actually. I really like that, because that makes sense. Like, I think Homelander is, I mean, I've always said that Homelander, well, always, we haven't talked about the boys for all that long, but like Homelander is the best character in the boys, and he has been the most consistent in everything he's done. Everything Homelander does is always, it makes the perfect sense how you can get from point A to point B with Homelander's character. It's horrible, it's terrible, it's terrifying. I don't like any of it from a like morality standpoint, obviously, but from a character writing perspective, I've always thought Homelander, his progression and where he goes and the decisions he makes and the conclusions that he jumps through. I mean, you saw it with when they're announcing that Soldier Boy's a hero now, and he can't let anyone else have the spotlight. And you see Ashley react to it. You see even the reporters react to it. You see Soldier Boy react to it. And everyone was like, oh, that was a shit move. Like, Soldier Boy's here and you could not let someone else have even a monicum, a second of spotlight. So you stepped in and you made an announcement that makes you seem better now. So, and it was so, I love that moment.
It's funny you say that, because there's other characters in this show that like, they don't necessarily have arcs. Like Soldier Boy, I don't think necessarily has an arc. He's kind of just there, but I think that's his character. He's there to be comedic relief. He's funny. Not everybody has to have an arc. They can be in the show because they're a fun character. That's Soldier Boy. He pushes Homelander's arc.
He himself doesn't have an arc, but he very much is pinnacle to multiple other characters' arcs. Mother's Milk, to Homelander, to Butcher,
which is also how I feel about the Deep. And it's weird now, because now the Deep really doesn't have anything. The Deep was a fantastic parallel to A-Train. Both of them fearful of Homelander. One fearful enough that he eventually turns on Homelander, does the right thing, and he becomes a hero in his own right. The other being so fearful that he's pulling Black Noir out of a car, taking credit, trying to get good with Homelander because he believes Homelander. Like that's the other thing.
Well, that
And
was the other thing. It's like, admittedly, for a split second, and I know this is like, I shouldn't have thought this, but like for a split second, I was like, wait a second, is the Deep about to betray? And then I only thought it for a second, and then immediately afterwards, when he pulled Noir out of the car, I was like, no, he just wants the credit. And that's exactly what it was. Like, the Deep, he was so upset that he wasn't invited on this mission. And the people who were invited on this mission are a psychopath and another psychopath. And like, like he views himself as the most sane person in that car and the most deserving of Homelander's praise, and he knows that he hasn't been living up to that, so he needs an opportunity to live up to that. And also, out of every character that he can do that to, like Noir right now, since Noir isn't talking, Noir's not gonna. He doesn't think Noir is gonna say anything about him gassing him and taking Stan Edgar. Now, I would find it very funny if Noir goes back and then just starts talking again to Homelander. Or, again, we've talked about this before, and this is, I'll put a spoiler warning, but I know we both know this. Spoiler warning, it is revealed at one point in time in the comic books that Noir is a clone of Homelander. Now, here's the thing. I don't think they're going with that route because, specifically, Noir in the comics was always a clone of Homelander. That was like literally from the beginning. There was no any other different character development with Black Noir at all. And I don't think it makes sense, especially with us only having 5 episodes left, to introduce a clone of Homelander and have that be another plot and how that would, like, I don't think that's the direction they're going, but it would be very funny to a degree for Noir to come back, rip the mask off, be a clone of Homelander, and be like, hey, myself, Deep did this, and then that's what leads to the killing of the Deep.
It could be. I don't know what they're gonna do with that because genuinely, that was gonna be my question: was what is Noir the same person? Is he not?
He is. Different? I personally think
he has to be.
I personally think, and again, it's a whole conspiracy right now online. I think it is as simple as in, I believe it was season 4. You have the whole thing of Noir trying to become Noir. It was season 4, yeah, because that was when the new Noir was introduced. And at the end of season 4, he gets the murder boner. And that was the thing that the Deep had the conversation with Noir about, how do I become this character? I don't understand this character, and I need to become him. And he was talking all the time, and he didn't really enjoy killing, and then he finally started enjoying killing, and then he went full method, and he just stopped talking. I think it is as simple as that. I don't think there's any big conspiracy. I actually would be surprised if there was, to a degree. I think it is as simple as the actor who was replaced Noir went full method Noir, and which actually, I don't know if you knew this, little behind the scenes, the actor in season 4 is actually always been the actor for Noir.
Yeah.
And it was they had to make a deal with him, and there was a conversation off screen about like, hey, you can either show your face in season, the flashbacks in season 3, and then when we recast Noir, it's gonna be a completely new person, or just for the flashbacks we recast you, and then you can be Noir again. And he decided that he wanted to be... So technically, it isn't new Noir, it's old Noir.
Well, it's also... Why... I'm sorry, this is a different thing. Why wouldn't you just say that? Because now you've got a paycheck for 2 more years to come.
Yeah,
if you say, no, I'll be in the flashback, you're done. Like, you have to get recast. Somebody else is taking up that mantle. You're not the same guy in the suit. Why wouldn't you just wait?
Correct.
So I don't know. Yeah, but I wanted to talk about Deep and that and whatnot. Ashley's in a weird spot right now. They're doing something with her character. It'll come to light later, I guess.
We didn't get anything with it this season, really, or this episode, I should say.
Not yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing about this season is, like, there's a lot of plot lines going on right now. And I'm not saying they're doing a bad job of juggling it. It's just, I know we're only going to get more plot lines. I mean, again, we had Translucent Sun, who was from Gen V, come in, and we got the mention of Marie Monroe, which confirms there's no way she's not in this season. And so they're just going to keep introducing more and more and more, and we haven't wrapped anything up yet. But at least we do know our core through line now. It is V1. We get V1.
It's the race
now,
for V1.
One side knows where V1 is, and one side also kind of knows, but that depends on Stan Edgar and how much
Right.
information he wants to give up. Now, knowing him, he's going to just give it to him because it'll get him the best deal with Homelander. But also, I could very much see. I actually think this would be phenomenal if Stan Edgar tries to pull the typical Stan Edgar, negotiate with Homelander, give him the information thinking that would be like, oh, I'm going to be safe and this is going to be fine, and he like strikes a deal and he thinks he's fine, and then Homelander kills him anyway. I think that would be the perfect way to go with that character and to end his story, especially after the conversation with Mother's Milk with the cigars.
At this point, yeah, I think that's the route they're going to go. I think Stan Edgar is not making it out of this alive.
Oh, he's definitely not. It's just, do they kill him like next episode when they try to strike the deal or
probably that's what I would think. I think Homelander's going to approach it from like he did, like, welcome home, good to see you, give me the information I want. Homelander's off the rail because we talked about that a little bit, but the insanity of Homelander is to a different level. He's taking baths of milk. He is drinking milk constantly. He has a vision of Madeline in heaven, which is insane. Telling him that he's going to be immortal. He believes he's going to be immortal. So why not say fuck everybody? I think that honestly, as much as I want the Deep to be killed by Starlight, I see a world where the Deep is still doing everything Homelander wants. I think Homelander could easily kill the Deep.
I think Homelander is going to kill the Deep. I don't know if it's going to be like next episode or anything, but like I very much could see the only other option, and this would be interesting, is if Noir killed the Deep. I think that could also be an interesting thing. I'm not saying he will. I'm not saying it would be great. I'm just saying, like, the three main people who would kill the Deep would be Starlight as vengeance for what happened in episode 1, Homelander, because obviously Homelander, or Noir. But also I think the weakest is obviously Noir. But I think it's a possibility. Like, Ashley's not going to go come in and kill the Deep or anything like that.
I think Ashley's dead. At some point, she's going to pull an A-train. She'll do the right thing at some point, I feel like. But Ashley's dead. She's not making out of the series.
I think Ashley's going to try to do the right thing. I think she'll be pivotal in a like major turning point in the episode or in the season to swing towards the good guys side. I mean, it's hard to call them the good guy when we're talking about genociding all the superheroes, but like towards the non-Homelander side of things, and then she's going to get killed for that. I think I could absolutely see that.
And funny enough, as much as I do see the Battle of Soldier Boy and Mother's Milk coming at some point, I also don't hate the idea that Soldier Boy somehow lives.
Here's the thing. I think that I don't think it'll come down to like Mother's Milk killing Soldier Boy, because Soldier Boy's such an interesting character where like he's just a guy. Yeah, he's morally very questionable. But like
if you left him alone, he's not like Homelander where he's gonna try to rise up. No, if you gave him like a little bit of money and a place to lay low, that's what he would do for the rest of his life. He wouldn't care all that much.
Correct. Like I especially after the whole thing where he has the conversation with Firecracker after they cracked. And I think that I know. I think that like that whole line of dialogue was setting up of like, I do think that Soldier Boy will turn on Homelander again. I do. I don't think it'll be for, like, altruistic, I want to save the world reasons necessarily, especially since right now he just views Homelander as a failure of a son. And that was what the whole thing in Season 3 when he was introduced and tried to kill Homelander, and that hasn't changed at all, especially now that he is pissed off at Homelander for sending him into the virus. And, like, Soldier Boy is not... Homelander's so egotistical that he thinks he can lie his way out of anything. Soldier Boy's not taking any of it. He doesn't believe Homelander for even a millisecond, and that is that is so that is Homelander hates that because he loves like. That's the thing with Homelander that makes him such a good character and so interesting is like most people don't believe Homelander ever. Homelander thinks that they believe him, but in reality, no one ever really believes Homelander. They just make Homelander believe that they believe him.
Right.
And move on. So that's the thing, like with Soldier Boy not putting up with his BS, like he is so destroyed with finally someone standing up to him and not taking his BS and calling him out on it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. It's good. I like
Yeah.
it. I love that dynamic.
I'm trying to think of other characters and other things that happened in this episode that were like, obviously Starlight basically being like, screw this, going off, big thing for a character, big moment in the episode, basically.
I mean,
Um,
again, she very much could go to like Maria Moreau and the
she
others. That
she
could be
will,
where she goes,
she will. That
and
I think
that's
that's
where
what's
we
gonna
kind
happen.
of rope them in. Again,
Um,
I know I talk about it a lot. I just love the Gen V characters, and I want to see them again. So I'm
and you
biased,
will,
but
yeah, and I think you will. Um, I'm trying to think of like other character things that like like they were like. I just thought that this episode was so good, and so I know you didn't. I think this episode personally
I
was
didn't
so important character wise.
I didn't hate the episode. I just think that again, it goes back to stuff I've said about other episodes of this season. Very high highs and some very, very low lows. Like
Yeah,
nothing lives up. Like I'd still say episode 1 is the best episode, but mainly that's
yeah,
because the A Train is like easily top 3 moments in the whole show for me. But at the same
right.
time, like there was still some really good stuff. Like everything with Homelander was so good. Everything with Soldier Boy was so good. We didn't talk about it, but the whole thing with I'm blanking on the name, but Huey's friend who was the girl who could explode heads, real life girlfriend
Yes.
of that whole thing with her husband and daughter and them meeting again, and that was all very interesting.
Yeah.
And then you have Kimiko. And then you have, I'm not loving as much as you are, the stuff with Starlight or the stuff with Ryan as much. And again, I can understand to a degree people liking that. It's just, I think there's some logical leaps that they're taking with some of those things because again, like this is why I hate when shows do this, and it's what bit Stranger Things season 5 in the butt is having such a long gap in terms of not like filming or release time, but in world time between
Yes.
one season and specifically the final season. I mean, it's been a year and a half, I think, almost between a year to year and a half between the end of season 4 and that's a long time and a lot of character development to happen off screen. And then to me, it's like, okay, now our characters feel entire like Kimiko feels like a different human being.
Right.
And like Starlight had all of this major core character development happen and again, I understand we get some tidbits of it in season 4, but like at the like she is like night and day different almost from certain character elements. And to me it's just like if you would have shrunk the amount of time between seasons and allowed us to see a little bit more of that transition, that's fine. You could still have the same transitions happen. Just let us see a little bit more of it is all I'm asking.
I hear what you're saying. But for me overall, I really enjoyed this episode. It really comes down to opinion. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I think that's the talking point of this whole show. You either like it or you don't, because it is a hard watch.
The Boys is very much alike. I mean, if you don't like episode 1 of The Boys, you're not going to like anything else with The Boys, basically.
I agree.
I think episode 1 is a fantastic first episode to set up exactly what The Boys looks like.
Right. But yeah. That was The Boys, Invincible, Maul, another week, and a little bit of Exit 8. Maybe next week I'll be able to talk quickly about my thoughts if I'm able to.
We probably won't. We have
Probably not.
Little teaser for next week. We have obviously Invincible continues with its final episode. We have Maul Shadowlord with another 2 episodes. We have another episode of The Boys. Then we have all 10 episodes of Stranger Things Tales from 85, to which I've seen the first 2 already, and Michael, the Michael Jackson biopic.
My most anticipated biopic of all time. Right.
Next week's going to be probably our busiest episode since our 1-year anniversary episode, which we had, what was it, 5 movies to review?
Five movies. It'll be easier because most of everything we're talking about will be at home. But yes, I agree with you. It'll be our busiest.
It'll be easier to watch everything, not necessarily easier to talk about everything. Because like just with this episode alone, and I know we went like 40 minutes on CinemaCon, but we're like over 2 hours with this episode right now.
Right.
Just because like we had that much to say about all of this, and then we're adding 2 more things on top of it.
Right.
So that'll be interesting. I mean, spoiler alert. Again, I've seen the first only 2 episodes of Stranger Things, but like we'll talk about it. So yeah, but Michael, I'm excited for everything else. I'm very excited for, yeah, looking forward to next week.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up this puppy?
Nothing that I can think of, no.
Cool. Well, then, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. You know, if you like what you heard, if you like what you saw, give us a like, give us a follow. You can comment. Say we did a good job. Please don't say we did a bad job, but you can if you want. That is what the comment section is there for. You can find us on all streaming platforms. Amazon Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, you name it, we're probably on it under @NerdyNimrods. You can also find us on all social media platforms. We post a lot of short form content over there. Brandon likes to do a lot of anime reviews. I might hop in there every now and again with something fun. But you can also find us on all social media platforms under @NerdyNimrods. And as per usual, ladies and gentlemen, stay nerdy.